Tujiangalie Tindira, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us for the Wednesday broadcast of the Tackle. Wednesday the Tackle being the 28th of October 2020. 28th of October 2020. 28th of October 2020. Naoni kama tuko na right. Sawa, wacha tuanze tuingie kazi. Tafadhali kama kawaida ukiingia pale tafadhali piga share, ukisha share piga like, ukisha like na kuona kwamba unaweza kutazama, na ukisha like tafadhali piga share. Ukishare unapea mtu mwingine nafasi ya kuweza kutazama broadcast ya The Tackle. When you get in, please like. When you like, get it to watching us, and after you like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to have you to watch the broadcast. It was a pleasure. Asante sana kwa kuja. Tutaingia kwa maombi alafu tukirudi tuweze kuanza kazi. Wacha nipe dada yetu Lucia atuombe alafu tuingie kwenye job. Lucia, habari ya asubuhi?
Poa sana. Nilifikiria ni mtoto wa Bishop anaomba leo.
Mtoto wa Bishop ndiye ametoka kwa milima sasa hizi, labda software haija update. How are you? Unajua jana ulipotea, unapenda kupotea watu wananisumbua sana watu.
Hao watu wanafaa wajue maisha inakuanga na ups and downs.
Kwanza kuna mtu ameniandikia ujumbe juzi akaniuliza is she married? So inabidi utangaze msimamo ndio Tackle nisitakoliwe na
very soon nitatangaza msimamo. Sauti yangu.
Na sauti iko. Kusikia?
Wacha tuombe ndio tufungue Tackle ya leo. Father, in the mighty name of Jesus, we thank you for the gift of life this day, Abba Father. We ask you for wisdom and knowledge, Jehovah Lord, as we tackle matters that are of national interest, King of glory. Everything we talk about today here, Lord, we ask you that it might be of benefit to us and to our viewers. In the mighty name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Asante sana Lucia kwa hiyo maombi. Na saa zingine pia unatupea Bible verse, tunatukimbiza tunatupeleka kwa maombi direct.
Bible verse zinakuanga za Ojwang.
Unatupeleka na rada.
Unajua sasa itabidi nimeanza kuchukua Bishop's role. I think nafaa kupitia hapo theology school kidogo nisome 2-3 ndio nikuja na upako sawa sawa.
So that you come with the anointing.
Yes.
Lakini unajua watu anointing sana na kuanga na sarakasi. Mimi zingine naona ya kwamba tunamuona juzi Pastor Nganga analia pale msituni anasema muendi kanisa, mtoi mchanga, mtoi sadaka, na alikuwa amesema shauri yenu mtu asikuje kanisa hapa utakuja na chai yako.
Alisema watu wake waende kanisa na cash. Mpesa yao iko na fuliza.
Wazao mpesa iko na fuliza.
Mpesa iko na fuliza.
Jamaa atatuonyesha mambo kweli. The guy will show us things. Anyway, wacha ni pige shout out kidogo alafu tukirudi tujue itakuaje. Niwaambie tuko na wageni wagani na show ni gani kutukolea. Bado tunaangalia mambo ya BBI. Wanasema ni daraja the bridge to nowhere, the bridge of discord ambayo imeweza kuleta shida mingi kuliko ambayo inafaa ijengwe. Wanasema inafaa kuunganisha Wakenya, lakini tunaona kwamba Wakenya wanaendelea kubishana na kukanyagana kwa sana. So tutaweza kuzungumza tujue ni lipi lafanyika wapi na njia gani Kenya, na tutakuwa na wageni hapa ambao waweza na comment zenu mmeamka sana mapema. Naona Willy Kipkosgei anasema ako tuned, asante sana. Ukiingia pale pia tuambie unatazama kutoka hapa. Ni getting tell us where you watching us from. And Nione Junior Koinet anasema morning from Kajare West, na wapenda bure. We also love you for free. Lakini uanze kutupenda na kakitu. Na Katki Bruno Dixon anasema good morning. Kadhi Jabasitiane umepotea sana. Shemeji Kadhi Jabasitiane anasema good morning. Good morning to you Kadhi. Defter Kenya anasema good morning from the USA. Asante. Watu wa USA mnasemaje? Mlipiga kura juzi, mpeleka kura wapi? Kwa Turambu? Unajua kama alisema Tulambu. Mnaweka kura kwa Tulambu ama mnapeleka kwa Biden? Just automation morning tuned in. Thank you Christopher Munene anasema good morning Taklas. Good morning to you Jeff Jeboy anasema good morning tuned in from Sisibo. Asante sana watu wa Eldoret. David Kitur anasema tuned in from Kikuyu. David Kitur umepoteza sana mtu wa Kikuyu town. Watu wa Rongai kambi ya moto sijui aliendanga wapi pia pale Nakuru. Watu wa Nakuru pia kina Jafe mwenyewe. Kina Jafe sijui alienda wapi kina Jafe. Watu wa Nakuru sijui mlipoteza. David Kitur anasema from Kikuyu town. Naona Jeff Jeboy anasema good morning tuned in from Sisibo. Festus Kipkoech anasema Christmas mnakimbiza sana. Mira Jeff anasema good morning morning all. Pato Kithonga anasema good morning Lucia. Nixon Kura anasema good morning. Naona anasema I love this man Mushendu yuko ndani ya nyumba. Kamonge Kisanga anasema good morning. Wapuko Jakina anasema listening. Jessa Kithonga anasema morning. Maria Skipkuri good morning. Good morning to you. Moita Mwangi anasema good morning. Good morning to you Moita Mwangi. Manuel Sarem my good brother anasema good morning. Asante sana kwa baadhi yako ya the top ya top fan. Na pia asante kwa kukaribisha. Tunaona maamsha Moses Kebenenyi Kanet na ameamusha pia Damaristo. Tafadhali fika pale, amusha marafiki. Kila mtu ana rafiki. Tuweze kujenga hii familia. At least tag and invite at least 5 friends. Boniface Juria anasema good evening, good morning watching from Nyayo Estate Bakasi Tikolo. Asante sana watu wa Nyayo Estate. Nasikia mnapata kitu inaitwa Train. Train inakuja, gari ya moshi inakuja, watu wa Embakasi wanaanza from Monday mtaanza kupanda Train. Isaac Kiprop K anasema good morning Gerald. Good morning to you sir. Isaac Kiprop anasema good morning Gerald. Ball Trade Ban Informed. Kabisa hali ndio hiyo, Ball Trade Ban Informed. Giribisha anasema Wendo Soni Sugar Dollar tuned. Asante sana watu wa Awendo. Thank you so much. Kim Kipton anasema wake in good health. Good morning from Eldoret. Thank you so much. Nathan Kimani anasema morning team Fiam tuned in and waiting. Asante sana David Wanjiru watching from Bahrain. Watu wa Bahrain asante sana. Naona Mark Wanaina senior citizen Mark Wanaina amefika pale kwa haraka sana na maamusha Beryl Omondi Borod Warisha anasema team Tackle senior citizen says Jumbo from the CBD. Asante sana wa CBD brand sena anasema good morning Emilia Holly team from county 038. Max Kimasama good morning Tackle Nico hapa kudai credit kwanza. By the way Max alright takutupia inbox. Kipkaya Cheria anasema anacheka very modo washaza sina season mbona tena upo dadi Robert Jonga karibu ameamusha Robert Jonga amuka bwana umeamusha amuka. Rogers Kigen sama tuned in from Bombay. Mark anasema tuned in from CBD Nairobi. Asante sana Mark wanaina senior citizen. Max Kimeli, why is this song mentions Kenyatta and Jaramogi? Nasikia kulia. Those are the people who sold us pesa kidogo sana. Frank Mgenga anasema tunes from Embu County Kiptani Ruben Senior good morning to class. Akimgatika anasema Kadima ako ODM ama ANC. Ni mtu wa ANC Party Kenya. Lakini kama alikuwa anakula katikati mtatuambia pia. Labda umeonana naye huko Orange House. Unafaa utuambie kama mlikutana naye ukikunywa chai. Unajua wanasiasa ni watu hatari sana. Unaona mchana hapa usiku wako kwingine. Tatuambie kama ulimuona ODM. Dennis Korea anasema tuned in from Bomet. Asante sana Kakwini Nganga anasema the tackle. Lasada Johnson Kimutai anasema presence are logged in from UG. Milton Tirab good morning team watching from Sydney, Australia. What was the land down under? What was Australia? Thank you so much. We love you guys. Max Kumeli anasema was to ask Dennis alienda hapi. Dennis alienda kufunga, baada anafunga, baada kwa kwenye mlima, baada hajashukia kwa alienda Mount Sinai kuchukua the 15 commandments. William Mwanga anasema good morning to class watching you from Utawala kama kawaida. Asante Ezekiel Koja anasema tuned in from Cheblela Bay Ziwa. Asante sana watu wa Caleb Kosita. Thank you so much. Caleb Kosita nilisikia jana Caleb Kosita alikuwa mahali alikuwa anatupigia depe kabisa anasema watu wafuate the tackle. Thank you so much Caleb Kosita. Thank you so much. Jelagat Mare anasema good morning Chelagat Mary Umare watching from Westlands Nairobi. Thank you Richard Michael Obere anasema watching from Kilifi. Happy to see Lucia Ayala today. Economist when you say anasema sound please bro. Sauti ipo. Sijui kama kuna mtu anasema hakuna sauti lakini sauti ipo. From Kapcherop hiyo ni Davis Kirke anasema from Kapcherop Marakwet. David Nyambade anasema morning from Doha Qatar. Arun Nderito anasema tuned in from ZBD. Kwa HK Gideon morning in from Rongai. Asante watu wa Rongai. Baza Vitka kwa anasema tuned in from Imara Daima. Watu wa Imara Daima asante sana huko ndio nilianzia maisha kitambo. George Kibala anasema morning watching from Machakos Kinani Matatani Ward. Asante mambo wa Ngundi. Anasema tuned in from Mitendo home of champions. Thank you. Ila anasema morning GB live from Kajiado. Sauti please. Kwani sauti haipo nini? Sauti iko mko na maneno why is you people you not want me prosper. Sauti iko haya naona Kalamaki Rubinaso Katano anasema good morning natazama from Cape Town. Watu wa Cape Town asante sana. Thank you guys from Cape Town. Thank you so much. Richard Abasona Ekwaro anatutupia YouTube link hapo anasema Papanasti TV. Sijui nini endelea pale lakini wanaweza check ione nini. Weje Karaja anasema hapo sawa. Mushai Wangasha anasema good morning from London. Watu wa London asante sana lakini mlechelewa. Kuna jamaa wa London atakuja ashapeana mahari tumeanza kukula deposit. Naanza kuona mbele. David Mushina anasema watching from Riro. Thank you Ekwaro ametupa link hapo pia. Tuned in from Kericho hiyo ni Edu Mutai mmoja. Viola Biwa anasema morning watching from Kasarani Nairobi. Alfason Kiblagat anasema good morning team strong watching live from Nakuru County Aslan Nation Movement. Asante sana chairman. Poli Kipkuru Mite anasema good morning team. Richard Pausada Ekwara anasema Westland tuned in. Asante Michael Keter anasema good morning from Eldoret. Economist Advocate anasema good morning tuned in Bold a few. Jerono Yvonne anasema good morning. People say I to that girl child Lucia Kaniaru wa anasema salamu from Texas. Anasema James Ngoe anasema good morning from Serkoit. Kasi Mohamed na kuona, Nancy Kamau Birgia na kuona, Kipkemaito na kuona, Asbel Yator na kuona, Onyinko Kefa Wesley na kuona, Alfred Mutua na kuona, Eric Bosire na kuona, Monica Nyaguto na kuona, Richard Soy na kuona zaidi, Nancy Kamau Birgia na kuona, Simeon Kangari na kuona, James Mose na kuona, Chef Tinet, Saif Tinet na kuona, Mike Tanu na kuona, Bruce Lee Isaidia na kuona, Emmanuel Kipsang na kuona, Dennis Kirui na kuona, Paul Destin na kuona, Noah Rop na kuona, Ondro Freddy Kodwaro Mondi na kuona, William Wangi na kuona, Lucia Ayala nimekuona hapo umeenda kuongea na wananchi. Chris Muridi na kuona, Mohamed Omar na kuona, North Rift Mira na kuona, Mike Takofa na kuona. Tuende kazi, tukirudi anza kupea nafasi pia shout out baadaye. Watu wa North or Marsabit pia nawapenda sana. Watu wa Marsabit maanza kuja, watu wa the Eastern region. Thank you so much guys for coming in. Hata kama bibi yao hajawapenda, mimi nawapenda zaidi. Nataka kuongezea revenue very soon. Acha tuingie kwanza tujue wageni wetu kina. Tuko na jamaa anaitwa Nathaniel MONG'ARE. Huyo ni member mkuu wa ANC. Anasema ni kijana ya Mudavadi. Atatuambia, amesemekana kwamba jamaa alionekana ODM. Atatuambia alikuwa anafanya nini ODM, lakini kabla ya hiyo tafadhali introduce yourself.
Good morning Gerald na wenye wanatufuatilia wote katika isho ya The Tackle. Mimi venye amesema naitwa Nathaniel MONG'ARE, na kwanza for the avoidance of doubt and for the record, Gerald, mimi ni mwanachama wa chama cha ANC, Amani National Congress, na mimi sijaionekana ODM. ODM ni chama yenye siwezi ingia.
Kwa nini?
Haina mwelekeo. Hiyo ni chama ambayo imepoteza mwelekeo. For avoidance of doubt and for the record, I am a member of Amani National Congress. Na wale ambao wanadhani mimi nimeenda kwa ODM, a Raila political experiment is something that I will never try again in my political life.
What is a Raila experiment? What is unakuwa mkali hivyo?
Gerald, unajua siasa za Kenya, kuna wale watu ambao ni wasaliti. Hata wewe unajua siasa za Kenya. Na kama kuna mtu msaliti kwa siasa ya Kenya, ni Mheshimiwa Raila Amolo Odinga. He has been supported severally by so many people, but he always abandons the cause.
Unajua mimi ni mgeni huko na ndio nimeingia, na mimi sijui hata hao jamaa wanafanya nini.
Si wewe unakumbuka 2017 sisi tulimpatia kipaumbele kwa hii maneno ya NASA, akapeperusha bendera ya NASA, lakini akafika pale mto Jordan akaabandon the cause, the struggle and the hopes of the people, akaziwacha pale Jordan ati kulikuwa na mamba. Sasa hiyo ni ukora ya siasa ambayo sisi hatuwezi rudi pale. Kama Maraga, mtu wangu kutoka Nyamira, alitusaidia kaangusha ukuta za Jericho. Kwani kuvuka mto Jordan ingetushinda? Hii ndio maneno hii tunaona ya BBI hapa. So,
simu ya Nigeria iko fika. Sasa kama mnangojea simu ya Nigeria kuliendaje?
Wapi? Hiyo ndio baadhi ya usaliti ambao tunaongelea. So in the quest for the third and final liberation, sisi hatutaki hiyo maneno ya Raila political experiment. Na nitaeleza zaidi kwa program. I will tackle these issues of ODM and the betrayal of the people.
So wewe ni nani pale ANC baba?
Mimi ni msemaji wa vijana kitaifa katika chama cha ANC.
Huko ANC kuna kwanga na vijana pia?
Tuko na vijana wengi.
Vijana wananga tu papa fololo.
Tuko na vijana wengi. Ukiangalia kwenye rekodi za registrar of political parties, ANC saizi tuna lead in terms of new registrations. Na most of those wenye wanaregister ni vijana.
Wow.
Na so ANC ni chama ambayo iko very vibrant, na hata wewe unaona our activities in the public domain. You always see our party leader.
Where?
He always talks about the issues affecting mostly the young people and also the common person.
Wewe ndio ulifunza ile shenga alisema ile siku ya birthday.
Gani hiyo? Ile
kuna shanga alipiga zaidi sema mbogi yangu.
Ile mbogi
lazima niende ulikuwa unapanga hiyo kashanga.
Unajua mzee akifika miaka 60, na jera roja nikwambie kitu katika chama chetu, mtu ambaye tunakubali akwe kwa uongozi, mtu mzee ni Mheshimiwa Msale peke yake. Hizi vitu zingine zote sisi vijana kama katika chama tunataka kuleta mageuzi katika ndani ya chama, kwa sababu siasa ya kuelekea huko mbele ni siasa ya vijana. So sisi mzee Madividi tumemkubalia na tumempatia miaka 10 peke yake, from 2022 to 2032. Akishindwa kudeliver aingie kwa serikali to implement ile manifesto ya ANC, sisi tumempatia warning 2032 chama cha ANC they will be handed over to the youth.
Na akifika aseme baada kwa risasi moja
hatuwezi kubali. Sisi tutamtoa kama party leader, lakini tumempatia grace period na tunataka akue a transitional president between that period yenye nimetoka kuzungumzia. So kwa hivyo vijana tuko wengi katika chama na mimi nawazungumzia, lakini zaidi ya hapo mimi niko katika ile presidential campaign center ya Mheshimiwa Musalia, inaitwa
Hapa
Musalia
juu.
Mudavadi Center. Tuko pale Riverside na I'm coordinating a lot of issues around the presidential campaigns. So hiyo ndio tajriba yangu katika chama cha ANC.
SG wenu aliendanga wapi?
Barak Muluka. Nasikia alienda kwa Ruto.
Unasikia ama alienda?
Alienda kwa Ruto. Nimesoma kwa TV.
Amesikia hakukuwa na
Adenilisikia.
notification.
Adenilisikia.
Alienda kwa TV Patrick Lumumba akimuta Kinu Kamito. Yeah, mwaleka na wanawake wengi wanamwengi sana. Mara alikuwa na Kalonzo, mara alikuwa na Raila, mara amefanya kazi na sasa Musalia, tena ameenda kwa William Ruto. So sisi
hivyo ndio siasa iko. Hata
Hivyo ndio
Musalia
siasa.
alikuwa na Moi, Musalia amekuwa na Kibaki,
Kabisa.
amekuwa na Uhuru, amekuwa na Raila.
Kabisa.
Saa hii sasa ako kwela katikati. Hajulikani yako.
Musalia saizi yako na Wakenya.
No,
so-
you see,
Alright. Karibu Muchendo. Habari ya leo?
niko salama.
Bwana unataka kuleta crossfire mapema na hatujafungua kiwanja.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here this morning. It is true, William Musalia Mudavadi doesn't know where he is. He is neither in the skin or kwa nyama. Ako tu hapo katikati. But I have to say that I admire his presentation at Bomas. It was very bold. It was very well informed.
Asante.
And I still consider him one of the sober minds in this country. Despite that in politics he looks like a donkey right now. He understands the concept. He understands the concept. If he's not a donkey, he is not yet a mature horse in the race. He needs to mature up. He needs to remove that timidness that we see in him. Because he can argue issues very well. He can articulate issues very well. Him and the DP remains to be the people who said something sensible at Bomas. And I think I foresee a situation where there is a possibility of a coalition between these two people to fight the current people who I'm looking at the people who had the energy of speaking on how we cannot change BBI. If you are told to make BBI tangible right now, you can't. It doesn't have legs, it doesn't have arms, it doesn't have the body. Because you see, what is BBI right now? It is a set of proposals. For proposals to become realities, there has to be a process of making them to bills. So therefore, when I hear Musalia Mudavadi talking about that we must tame our external borrowing, I support him 100%. External borrowing anywhere in the world has never built an economy.
Kabisa.
It has never built an economy where, and I think he challenged the president on the right context that both of them were finance ministers and they understand the physical responsibility. But unfortunately, it seems like Uhuru did not go to that class 101. He's so careless with our debt. Anyway, Musalia Mudavadi, whether he goes to Ruto or he goes to Raila, because I can tell you he cannot stand on his own without blinking.
Muchendo, what are you saying about Mulembe Nation?
I'm not
what,
talking
what, what are you saying about my people?
Please, Lucia, I am not talking about the community of Murembe. I am addressing the politician by the name
Musalia
Mudavadi. It will be wrong of me to actually demean Murembe Nation. Murembe Nation is part of what makes this nation beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
My only problem with your party leader is one. He's very uninspired. It's just that lecturer with a PhD who you know is really, really good. Lakini akiingia class, man, ni Piriton bana, ni Piriton. And you know, not all of us have been given that bold courage and charisma. So it is the work of the young people in ANC to fill in those gaps. Whenever he stands to talk, he shouldn't be the only one who's speaking, because then he just bores us. In as much as whatever he's saying is very important and valid.
Umeamua kumaliza na
just, no, but it's true. And you see, this is the reason why he doesn't have the political clout, because he doesn't have the political charisma to inspire people to want to listen to his narrative. Given he's a very smart man, everything he says is valid. He has very valid points. Actually, when he spoke at Bomas, I was very impressed. But then when he speaks, it's just like, oh, Gerald. You know, Gerald, Trio Media is doing really well, but, you know, it's just, meh. You know, I want someone to come and inspire me like Obama. Yes, you can do it. Paka nasikia kuamka kwa kiti, I receive, you know.
It depends on what you want to receive. Unajua kuna vitu mingi ya kureceive, lakini kabla tujaona ni nini ya kureceiviwa.
I'll tell you,
Muchendu, haraka tuingie kwa gazeti.
Whatever Musalia Mudavadi said at Bomas was very powerful than what Bishop Oginde did. But because Bishop Oginde said it with charisma, with command, with a voice full of life, we tend to identify with what Oginde said. Now, if it is about the conversation on BBI, Mudavadi delivered very varied points into BBI. But how he delivers them is what leaves so much to be desired of him. And I think that is where the youthery got to come in. You need, unajua nilisikia, you have trained him to talk Sheng, alimyokia mambo ya bogi.
Alisema bogi ya ma-DVD.
Yes. So, if he is able to do that, I believe you can also train him on how to be charismatic, to be energetic, to be, you know, have the power. Make the voice, your voice, you know. The problem with Musalia Mudavadi is that his voice allows us to cast doubt on what he's saying. He doesn't have a commanding voice when he's conversing. I listened to Musalia Mudavadi when he was doing his presentation at KICC on the BBI draft. He is one of the people, him and Kalonzo Musyoka, the party of Kalonzo Musyoka, some of the people who gave very varied input on BBI. If you read, you have posted what you wanted in BBI in your website and what have you. So, what Musalia Mudavadi needs to do, you have to have a voice that is convincing enough, and I think that is what
thank you. Sasa roja tuingie kwenye kazi. Ndakupa nafasi utaweza kufanya rebuttal uweze kuokoa mbogi ya Musalia. Poleni sana kwa hiyo shida ambayo imewakumba haraka sana hata kama kazi haijaanza. Iko mambo hapa kwenye, kabla tujaenda kwa magazeti, kuna mambo ambayo zimeweza kufanyika. NRM, wale watu wa MRC, wale watu ambao kusema kwamba pwani sio Kenya, they have started regrouping, na kuna watu ambao wameweza kushikwa jana pale Tana River ambao wanapanga kusema kwamba pwani sio Kenya. And actually, Coast Region have complained on the BBI report that their submissions were not considered for the final report. Pia kuna mambo ya jamaa wetu wa Ititu, baba yao akona masaibu ajenda kotini for the third time now, and actually the public prosecutor is considering revoking the bond ambayo alikuwa ameweza kupewa. Mara ya kwanza Waititu walisema alikuwa na corona, hiyo ikaenda. Mara ya pili akasema bado hajapona vizuri. Mara ya tatu sasa amesema ako hospitalized. Lasikia alionekana akinunua jacket hapo town, so utaweza kujua kuliendaje. Alright, kwa magazeti naona the Daily Standard ya kwa the People Daily First. It's under 9 na kuanga na loading ya upuzi. BBI focused, that is the People Daily, nasema BBI focus turns to collection of 1 million signatures. Abra ndia amuta tuletea signature nyingine kama mguu ya umbwa. Next anasema leaders say that after Monday's launch album they are now working to get Kenyans endorse the report in readiness for approval by county assemblies on page 4. Pale pia kuna Tanzania blocks internet on voting day. Tanzania, by the way, tunalalamikanga Kenya, lakini I think tuko mbali sana. Tanzania imefunga internet. There's no Twitter, there's no Facebook in Tanzania as are going to vote. By the way, kama ulikuwa mtu ambaye ulikuwa na support Tundu Lissu, kutuma ujumbe ambaye kuna jina Tundu Lissu was illegal in Tanzania, iwezi kwenda, inakuja inaanguka. So ya mambo ambayo yanaendelea Tanzania. But pia why president's health pet project is on its deathbed is number 8. Oi, aki Uhuru ako na mashida dunia hii. Hapo kuna business reopen but infections rise. Hiyo ni page 6. Hiyo ni mambo ya corona. Ruta os elders was to consult. Ni elders jana walienda pale. Hii Kenya bwana, hii siasa ya Kenya mimi nimeona hata niwache nirudi tu kwa pastor, kwa sababu things surprise you every day. Nimeona Mungai Kungu jana alikuwa kwa Asla. Nimeona manzi hii siasa tutabadilisha ikuwe 24-hour redemption channel. Nitakuwa naombea hapa na kuwekelea mikono. Mombasa County Assembly was closed yesterday after 3 MCAs were found to have contracted COVID-19. The assembly will remain closed for 14 days as fumigation takes place, while those who came into contact in the 3 victims have been urged to self-isolate. Naona gazeti ya jaturudi kwa gazeti ya Standard hapo headline inasema the main headline inasema eyes on Uhuru and Raila, anasema morning after leaders morning after. Morning after leaders turn to President Kenyatta. President Kenyatta, no DM leader right now, Dinga. On the way forward after bombers. You guys, you have your brains in the gutters. Leaders turn to President Kenyatta, no DM Raila Odinga on the way forward after bombers meeting ended with no clear roadmap. By the way, these guys forgot to launch BBI. Parliamentary leadership plans retreat to build consensus. Yes.
When you say they forgot, acha kusema sema the president forgot to launch BBI.
Guys, alisahau mpaka sasa ikabidi amekula aliwacha niliona ameweka speech kando alikuwa anapepeta naye joto.
As you are speaking at Bomas, I saw the Uhuru Kenyatta I knew before 2013.
Mabenzi ilirudi. Haya. Tutarudi kwa hapo. Tutarudi.
That's how you used to speak.
Sawa, tutakuja kwa commentaries. We'll come back on the commentaries. Naona isema parliamentary leadership plans retreat to build consensus. Debate rages on timing for referendum. Legal experts split on timelines to mount constitutional changes. That was by 6, 7 and 8. Pale jamani to Amos Kimunya anasema MPs will be recalled next week and this sets in motion the process. There is no way 47 million Kenyans can agree on a single issue. What we require is consensus, and this we have. Amos Kimunya, National Assembly Majority Leader. Pale jamani to Irungu Kangata, Senate Majority Whip, anasema House membership will retreat from Sunday. We must first meet and strategize now that we have the report. We don't have any legal timelines for anything, only political ones. Irungu Kangata, Senate Majority Whip. The president and our party leader need to give us an official schedule for this process, and then we will implement. Bills that need to be drafted should be done so immediately. That's John Buddy, National Assembly Minority Leader. Mutula Kinsama, what the BBI task force did not do is come up with an implementation matrix so that everyone knows what is to be done and within what period. That is Mutula Kilonso Junior Makueni is Senator. Policy and administrative provision do not require a timeline. Tax reforms and other related issues can be done immediately. Kenya Law Reform Commission can draft the bills targeting statutory reforms and take them to parliament. That is Kamoro Waiganjo wakili ambaye alikuwa hapa siku nyingine tamrudisha tena. We need clear timelines for the implementation plan so that people can know whether there is room for further discussion or outright implementation. That is Charles Njama wakili. I know President Uhuru and Raila parliament leadership are consulting to find a quick way forward. As BBI supporters, we are ready to popularize the document, which is good for all of us. That is Francis Atuoli, Kotu Boss. Our mandate ended in the June. We handed over our report and we are now out of the picture until we are approached for a different assignment. That is Morombi Oleronke, BBI task force member. Hayo ni masaibu ambayo yako kwenye BBI, masaibu na mambo ambayo kila mtu anafikiria inafaa iende. Kenyan brands cause a stir in global stage trends, clothing lines by local celebs like Ted Josia, Whitney Nasanga and DJ Cream are catching a global attention. Yale mambo yanaendelea pale nje, mambo ya corona. COVID will age your brain by 10 years. Kia nani? Ukishika corona unazeeka miaka 10, akili yako inazeeka inakuwa forward 10 years. Sijui kama bia unajua vitu yenye inakuja mbele kwa miaka 10 ama you just get sick. And some research patients recovering from coronavirus will have significant mental decline equivalent to the brain aging by a decade, says new study by Imperial College. I don't know guys, this measure vile akili inazeeka na vile inarudi kuzeeka. Katika page ya pili inasema shida Standard 9. All right. Page 2 of the People Daily inasema Kashagwa grilled a second time over 12 billion fraud claim. Hiyo ni Kashagwa katika Kashagwa ameweza kushikwa pale kwa mashida. Hapo police panic as man collapses in dies in Kitengela. Page inasema focus shifts to collection of 1 million signatures and peace clash over Bomas meeting. More closures amid infections surge. Improve capitation for early childhood education report to commence. Strike staff should change shortage among factor that ail health sector. And mambo ya health sector ambayo inaendelea that never seems to be any. Why President's pet project is in the deathbed. Hiyo ni mambo ya health ya ile you see, that is universal health coverage. The government is raising against time to salvage one of the President Kenyatta's pet projects, the universal health coverage from imminent collapse. And Ministry of Education, I don't know what legacy is remaining. DPP wants for cops denied bail. Au watu ambao walihusika kwa kifo cha wakili Kimani ambao inasemekana kwamba amesemekana wachajiwe pale kotini. MPs did himself from 6 million graft case. Pia kuna pale mambo ya editorial Kalonzo anazungumza na pia naona Isaac Mwaura. Katika page ya pili ya the inside the rotting ailing Nairobi Hospital. Mambo ya Nairobi Hospital pale inasema the story in a nutshell inatuambia kwamba in brief nasema questionable integrity and hobbly management structures and systems are the highlights of an audit that lays bare what ails one of the Kenya's high-end hospitals. The forensic audit on Nairobi Hospital by Grant Thornton covering January to December 2009 details major lapses in procurement, finance, personal management. Na mambo ya biashara haituhusu sana, lakini kama unaenda pale hospitali pia inafaa ujue kwamba unaweza kosa kutibia masiku zingine ambazo zinakuja. Sikia sababu positive for COVID-19 ni mambo ya Mombasa na imeweza kufunga corona. Hiyo ni mambo ya corona pia. Counties lack means to manage virus case. Alright, wacha tukimbie kwa yale mambo yameweza kuendelea. First of all, the things that worry me, mambo za NRM. Lakini kabla tujaenda hapo, wacha nikupe jamaa yangu wa MC mbogi ya ma-DVD ili dakika moja ulikuwa umeioma
kabisa. Kwanza nataka niseme Lucia na Mchendu, mambo ambayo wamesema I take positive criticism very well, kwa sababu hii ni advice. Na sisi ni mambo mengi katika chama, we are not perfect in the way we do our politics. Lakini najua mheshimiwa Musalia atafikishwa na hii ujumbe na ataweza kuyapata. Lakini I also want to show you that Musalia has many political sides. When there is an audience that is calm, kama ile ya Bomas, Musalia Mudavadi speaks into the issues. Lakini when Musalia Mudavadi is on the platform in a political rally, utasikia anasema nasao, siji kama unamsikia huyo Musalia, utasikia anasema nasao. So Musalia Mudavadi has many sides, and that is his personality. Sometimes people tend to confuse between cowardice and humility. Musalia Mudavadi naturally is a calm, cool, collected guy. That is who he is. That is how he was inducted into politics in 1989 when he became a member of parliament and Minister of Marketing and Supplies.
Question, were you born in 1989?
Of course not.
Thank you. So why are we still recycling people who were in politics before we were born? And Wakili Samba has asked a question on the comment section. He says to ask you, why is it that young people in political parties are only flower girls and flower boys? I've never known of you before today. I'm even shocked that ANC has young people in it. It's a pleasant surprise.
Kwanza kabisa, sisi kama chama cha ANC Youth League is not a flower or any other organ of the party that is taken to the periphery. Ukikuja katika chama chetu, we are a vibrant organization. Nikitoka hapa, I'm going to the party headquarters. We are going to address the media on very important issues. And one of the work we do is to mainstream young people into main organs of the party. Na nilipoanza mazungumzo, nilikuwa nimekwambia tumepatia mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi ilani kwamba by 2032, if he will not have handed over the baton as a transitional president, we are going to take over the party. The party leader is going to be a young person. And I also said that the only old person we are working with in the party is Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi. The rest of the leadership should be a young person in all those positions. And that is the agenda of the Youth League. We want to mainstream young people in all organs of the party. So leo ni vizuri nimekutana na Lucia. Najua nitaweza mconvince aingie katika chama chetu cha ANC kwa sababu we have very many vibrant programs.
Umechelewa kidogo. Niko pale kwa kongamano la mageuzi na ningetaka kukuconvince nyinyi kama wana ANC muungane na sisi katika quest yetu ya tekeleza katiba, because BBI is a fraud.
Now Gerard, ukinipatia dakika moja pia zaidi.
Mambo dakika moja sana. Harakisha na hiyo moja.
Na kwanza kabisa mimi nataka ni weze kumcommend Mchendu venye ameweza kusema kwamba Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi talked very well at BBI Bomas. Na alizungumzia issues za wananchi. Alisema kwamba we support the BBI process, but there are reservations, and this morning I also want to talk about those reservations. The BBI document is not a Bible. It is not a commandment. We must improve so that it capture the aspirations of the people. Ukiangalia hizo zote ameweza kuongelea pale Bomas. Maneno ya independence of the judiciary, maneno ya Kenya Police Council taking away the powers of the people to vet the police council, maneno yote yale ya kupale ndani, maneno ya executive leadership, all those issues za mwananchi lazima tuzungumzie. So leo asubuhi mimi nataka kwanza congratulate Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi for speaking well on the issues of the people at Bomas.
Alright. Sasa ndio tuende kwa zile issues ambazo nimeweza kusema kwanza kufanyika. Tuanze na mambo ya NRM ya pale Pwani. Haraka sana, just commentaries on what you guys think of the same. Hata nianze na Mchendu. Mchendu, what do you think about what is going on in Pwani? Pwani si Kenya yarudi.
They can continue dreaming that Pwani si Kenya. I'll tell you without blinking, that will not happen. One of the most important part of our nation is the coast. You know, Kenya stands amongst those nations that are very fortunate to have a coastline, makes the ease of moving goods in and out of this nation very easy. And therefore, you do not want to think that a nation by the name Kenya, that has a well-trained army, can just let go of the coastline. We will not go the Southern Sudan way. We will not go to the Southern Sudan way. Those people inciting people at Pwani Sea, Kenya, let me tell you, the people inciting them are simply praying into their poverty. I have stayed in South Coast for some time, and I'll tell you, we have a very urgent poverty in the coast. And I think that is what those people inciting those people are riding on. Instead of pressuring the government to deal with the issues of land ownership in coast, to deal with the issues of poverty in coast, to deal with the issues of low education level in coast, those are the issues these people should be pressing the government to deal with. And therefore, I find it in bad faith that you're telling people, Pwani Sea, Kenya, incite young people with nothing to come out and start confrontation with the police, rather than put the government to task on why these issues are not happening. I'll tell you, a place like 90% of Ramu County, people don't have land title deeds. If you go to South Coast, you realize that in Diani and everywhere, the who is who in this country grabbed land in South Coast. These are the issues we need to address. We do not need to polarize the nation by telling people at Pwani Sea, Kenya. I'll tell you that you can say Pwani Sea, Kenya for all time you want, but this nation will not allow you to separate Pwani from the rest of the country. So you can as well put the government to task to do. And when I see these calls and I see these grammar, I tell you, it affirms my belief that the Jubilee government has terribly failed in so many things that they promised. Because when you talk about affordable housing, you cannot have a house, Lucia, if you do not have the ownership or the title to that particular place. So therefore, the Jubilee government ought to say, the Pwani Sea, Kenya slogan started before Uhuru became the president. Yes, started then. If you have not dealt with that people feel that the way their lives has been messed up, they can only identify by not being Kenyan, then we have a problem with how the government is adjudicating the matters of the coast. So therefore, I want to tell those people that are telling young people in Pwani to say that Pwani Sea, Kenya, can't you incite them to put the government to task? Let the government tell us what have they done with the land ownership in the coast. What are the steps taken to ensure kuna watu wako na title deeds? What are the steps taken to ensure that coast people go to school? Because that is one of the things that is affecting. I stayed in Sambweni for 6 months doing a research at Titanium Base. And I will tell you, one of the problems affecting the coast is we do not have activists who are forcing people to go to school. Guys are leaving class at 4, at class 8, and they don't go to school. And that is the basic truth. So can we deal with those issues that are affecting people rather than telling people to say Pwani Sea, Kenya? Iyo inaitwa Mombasa Republican. That is how organized crime in Nigeria. That is how organized crime in DRC. That is how organized crime in Central Africa Republic started, by putting people together to say no and radicalize them. So therefore, I would say this: we cannot let go the coastline. Honestly, we can't. It is practically impossible. It cannot happen. Won't happen. Will never happen. Let them put the government to task on what it is supposed to do for them.
Lucia, kila mtu asema kwao si Kenya.
I don't think kusema Pwani Sea, Kenya is going to help the people of Pwani, but I like the fact that thing has come up again in the midst of the BBI discussion. So this should tell you that BBI conversation has not even been inclusive. Because if it were to be inclusive, as they claim that all Kenyans gave their views and they were put into consideration, clearly people wouldn't be saying they don't want Pwani to be Kenya. You know, it's what is the word I'm looking for? Niyo kutengwa. Iyo kutengwa, like it's things happen at the national level, and whenever these people are, they don't feel that change. These people actually, if you were to sit them down, they'll probably tell you they need a job, they want food on their table, and they want land. They don't want a prime minister. They don't care if we have a prime minister or not. They just want the resources to get to them. And this is the problem. We are building bridges, yet we are burning them. We are not actually building them. And you see, the current government inherited a lot of problems from the previous regimes. That's given 100%. We do not expect them to be able to solve all the problems that they inherited, but we expected them to at least try. You know, we had so much faith because, you know, they were young, they had this romance, they came with the language we wanted to hear, you know, with all these promises, and we thought, oh, fine, well, we are finally moving from Stone Age to the technological age. Shokonash, we are being given wheelbarrows. Anyways, that is the thing. We don't have transitional governments and regimes. Someone rules, they start whatever they started. Mali tamiao inaishia, mahali iliachiwa inaachiwa hapo. The person who comes to take over never continues with what was started before. They start something else and run with it. Tamiao ikisha wanaiachia hapo, and it goes on and goes on and goes on and goes on. So someone will come and say, oh, we are going to solve the land issues. When the Jubilee government came into power, they said that. They gave out a lot of title deeds in the coast, but then they never completed it. And right now, no one is talking about it. So we've all moved from trying to solve our day-to-day problems to now going to solve the personal issues of the political elite. It is not right that anyone should be mobilizing young people to disrupt the unity that we have as a nation, you know?
Do we have a unity?
Yes, we do, Gerald. Are we fighting here? Are we at the tackle fighting?
Maybe we have unity at the tackle, but maybe not in the country.
No, actually, when you look at common people like you and I, they are very united. It's the politicians who are not.
Why are you looking at me?
Because you're part of the political elite.
Not really.
No, you work with them, so you might understand them better than I might. I still have that innocent naivety of believing some naive things, but you don't, because you are there, you know. There's a difference. But you see, this is where it comes to political goodwill. Why is it so hard for our politicians to take the high road? You know, as a leader, that is the one thing that you're supposed to be constantly doing, taking the high road. But our politicians don't. And you see, it doesn't matter. Muhammad anaweza shuka from wherever he is akuja tuandikie document. Jesus himself will come down with his sandals and stone tablets na akuja tupatie new laws. But unless our leaders have the will to implement it, we are still going to be talking about the same things over and over again like mad people. And I actually think people at ANC are mad.
Yeah.
Why?
Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but
umerudisha mambo Mombasa mpaka NC.
Different results. No, here is our problem. He is supporting a man who has been in politics since 1989, before he was even born. At this point, it is. At this point, he should
let's
be
take to Mombasa first. Let's take to Mombasa.
and guiding,
Tubaki
rather
Mombasa.
than being actively in it. And you see,
Tubaki
there is
Tana
the
River
problem.
kwanza.
So when the people of Tana River stand up and take leadership and stop worshipping the people that they have recycled for decades, Gerald, then they're going to stop having the problems that they're having. But until they do that, they will continue facing famine and drought and behaving as if they're not Kenyans.
Alright. Alafu tatuambia pia kama hakuna wazee kwa kongamano la mageuzi. Lakini wacha nani awe. Haya, nani endelea. Your comments on what's happening in Tana River.
It seems today the tackle is on my tackle.
They are tackling you. They're in your case.
Lucia is tackling me very well. But first of all, there is no part of Kenya that is going to leave this country. The sovereignty of this country must be protected, including the territorial integrity. Kenya, when we were fighting for independence, our forefathers were very clear that this country must be one. And that's why ukisoma hii cover page ya BBI, I don't know whether they mean it. They say that building bridges to a united Kenya from a nation of blood ties to a nation of ideals. I don't know whether we will be able to contain the territorial integrity, all the boundaries within Kenya, at the same time have the ideals they are aspiring to achieve in this document. Kwa hivyo, in this country, there is no part of this country that can go away to any other part. Those people in MRC who want to cause issues at cost, they must understand that this country is one and all boundaries must be within this territory. Then, but secondly, Gerard, we must understand what are the issues at the coast. And Muchendu and Lucia have already alluded to some of them. Uko coast, they are fighting for historical injustices. The people at the coast have been neglected and marginalized for a long period of time. In the previous campaigns, the issue of land has always been used as a tool of mobilizing people to vote. But there has been no real solution on the issue of land. It is not just an issue of giving title deeds to the people at the coast. It is an issue of transferring ownership of the land to the original owners who deserve to own the land at the coast. So the issue of historical injustice around land at the coast must be solved so that we stop hearing the issues of MRC and many other issues, including the issues of unemployment, including the issues of education. The uptake of education is very low. So it is easy to radicalize people at the coast to join extreme groups kwa sababu ya maneno ya historical injustices. So unless the government takes a decisive measures to solve the historical injustices, then the MRC is going to always appear either in another form, in another name, but they are going to agitate. So
they'll keep reinventing themselves.
Reinventing themselves in another form. Now the problem has always been using the land question as a tool of political mobilization without real solution. So we must address the issue of land at the coast. There are people who have owned land at the coast, but the real owners, the real people who deserve to own land, even a piece of land,
I don't think they question.
they are not given that. They don't. I mean, they have not been given the rightful share of the land.
Right.
So the tycoons who are owning land from Nairobi or other parts of the country and outside Kenya we must redistribute this land question and address it. So I have not seen anywhere, apart from a recommendation that I've seen in the BBI, saying that the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission report must be implemented, because in that TJRC report, the issue of the land question at the coast has been adequately addressed. I don't even know why we were waiting for BBI to implement the TJRC reports and other reports like the Ndungu Land Commission report, and the Akiuni report. There are so many reports that have been commissioned in this country. So I don't know why we have been waiting for reports for us to implement some of the issues. So, Gerald, the issue is not about the title deeds. The issue is about the land, unemployment, and the economy. So when Lucia says that I am supporting Musalia and he was in politics in 1989, I also want to remind Lucia that Musalia Mudavadi has the adequate experience to run this country. The portfolio he has been able to build and accumulate the experience from 1989 can come in handy in managing the affairs of this country. When he was Minister for Finance, for instance, in 1993, there are things he did in this country that are marvelous, and we can use that experience and tap into it so that he can manage this country. The economy.
Itabidi amelipa pesa ya campaign hapa ya TACOL. Alright, hata tuende bado tuko Mombasa as we speak. Very quickly.
It must also not be lost that during Musalia Mudavadi's reign as the Minister for Finance, that's when Goldberg happened.
That is not true.
And the cemeteries disappeared.
Listen, my brother.
Okay, carry on.
Yes. It may not have started when he was the minister. It might have started before he became the minister.
Yes, it started before.
Yes, it started before.
But he stopped it.
No.
I'll give you evidence.
Please.
Yeah, he got saved.
I would want you to refer to the documents by the Philip Waki Commission and see what was the law of the Musalia Mudavadi. You have
Which document?
Let me tell you.
Which document by Philip Waki?
The report by the Philip Waki, who was the chairman of the...
Which document? He doesn't even know the document.
No. I'm saying you have the Goldenberg report.
Now let me give
By
you
the commission, let me. You
Okay,
know,
finish and then I'll give you
it
the
is your
evidence.
sole responsibility to defend your party leader by all they can help.
Of course.
But you have alluded
With
to
the facts.
You have alluded to the Dongo report, and I was gonna tell you, as long as we have those readers in the 1989, and the current bunch of readers still in power, the Dongo report will never be made public. Because who does the Dongo report target? The Dongo report targets people who stole from government, people who acquired properties illegally in government.
I agree.
So when you, that is exactly what I wanted to respond to. Do not expect the Dongo report to be made public or be implemented when it is targeting who is who in government. We are talking about the issues of land in Mombasa.
Yes.
I have told you I've stayed in South Coast. Who are the owners of the entire Diani Beach?
I agree.
Alright.
Let's face the fact.
Your president is the landlord.
Yes, I
Yes,
agree with
you
Michelle.
have
We need to
another,
address.
the late Jenga Karume from Chakobana to a billionaire. He's part of the people who own the buildings along Diani Beach. And this is my problem, and I have and it is must never be forgotten that Musalia Mudavadi has been a vice president of this republic.
That's a fact.
Haya, mwachana na Musalia kwa sasa, alafu tukirudi tutakuja kuangalia tukiwa bado tuko pwani. Imesemekana ndakurudisha. You have for many minutes. I'll come back to you very shortly.
I'm donating mine to him.
Kuna pale Mombasa, there's something that Nathaniel has mentioned about the education uptake in Mombasa. Na juzi kulikuwa na scandal pale Mombasa ya kwamba yule mdosi wa maritime alisema watu wa Mombasa wapate kazi kwa sababu hawajui Kiingereza, anajua Kiswahili sana. That's why now Aisha Juma has come back fair back and is saying, if you are not giving us the BBI in Kiswahili, we are not passing it. And Juang has always argued, Dr. Juang has always argued, until we vernacularize the things that are passed in this country, then we'll never have it right. Do you think Mombasa people are right to say we want to fill this document in our own way?
Yes,
like, right. We want to fill the jojo in the ground, needs to understand hata Mjaluo andikiwe na Kijaluo.
They are right.
Mkikuyu andikiwe na Kikuyu. I mean, they're saying we want to get a feel of this thing. As we have that conversation on Mombasa issues and the issues around what Aisha Juma is claiming, do you guys feel she has a point?
I agree, they have a point. Even the current constitution protects indigenous languages. We need to start flourishing and nurturing indigenous languages. We need to start being proud of the Kalenjin language, the Kisi language, the Kikuyu language, all the Luya language, all the languages in Kenya. The indigenous languages must be protected and nurtured. And all these reports, most of these important conversation and documents in this country must be translated in not only Kiswahili, but they must find their way into the local dialect so that we have an engagement with the people closely. Now, when you talk about the BBI report not being translated to Kiswahili, then it is a challenge. There is no way somebody can wake up and say the reason why people at the coast are not getting jobs, especially mostly who are young people, just like me and the rest of us here, it's because that they don't know how to speak English. That is bullshit. Sorry, forgive me for using that word.
You are allowed.
It is wrong to say that just because you don't know English. English is an imported language from London. That is a language that we were being taught in school. As we have grown up knowing Kiswahili, speaking our local dialects, and that is what we enjoy. In fact, I dare say that we should reach a time in this country when serious conversation, even in parliament or county assembly, should be conducted in the local languages.
And mother tongue. Actually,
so we must protect that.
All right. Lucia, the same thing, she has the statement by a good friend, Aisha Juma, is in the BBI report also written in English. Yet they want us to pass it. We won't. If they want to give Pwani youth jobs because they can't speak English, then why bring us the BBI report for us to read? We don't want it because we don't understand. You know, when you look at that statement very keenly, she's making sense. You guys are saying we're not getting jobs because you understand language. Then you bring a document in the same language. We don't understand it. Kama ile ya Uncle Willie, alisema we are slow learners. You need to take us slow. Do you think they have a point, Lucia?
They have, and a very valid point at that. Gerald, what is our national language? Lugha yetu ya taifa ni nini?
Kiswahili.
So then why is it a problem to give the people of coast something in Kiswahili? And you know, I'm actually starting to advocate for a Swahili version of our constitution. It has just come to my attention that we don't have it in Kiswahili. And it's our national language. The irony of it all. Here is the thing. When you go to China, Gerald, hata kama wewe ni millionaire unaenda kufungua biashara China, you'll be forced to learn Chinese.
Yeah.
Because the
or
Chinese,
you look for a translator.
Yes, because they speak Chinese. When you go to Turkey, you have to learn, is it Urdu or Turkish, something, whichever language it is they use there. Whenever you go to any country that doesn't use English as an official language, you have to learn that language. Why is it that sisi wa Kenya tumejidhalilisha so much that we want to allow these people to come in? They are not learning our language. Au ndio wamekuja, they've come to take our resources and they still want us to learn their language. Yani bado we are still colonized, yani. We claim Kiswahili is our national language. Yet in school, out of the 7 days in a week, you're supposed to be speaking in English 5 days in a week. And yet Kiswahili is your national language. Hata hatujivuni Kiswahili chenyewe. First and foremost, hatujivuni. This Kiswahili is big. People struggle to learn this language. It's recognized internationally.
Yes.
The fact that tumekidharau is a shame to us as Kenyans. And cost people are right. If they want a document in Kiswahili before they can support it, yo, President, you better give them that document in Kiswahili.
All right. Mushendu, what are your comments on the same?
You know, I think Aisha Jumwa is very correct because the majority of the people she represents converse in Kiswahili. So if you are talking about building bridges to a united Kenya from a nation of brand ties, and if you cannot converse to someone in a language he understands, what is these ideas you're talking about? So therefore, I think it is very important for the people to actually. You remember the first document that was launched at was it Bomas again?
Yes, it was Bomas.
Yes, I have seen guys who have done that document in my language, Kikuyu. The presenters of various vernacular Kikuyu stations came together and brought that document in our language. I think I still have a copy of the Kikuyu version of that BBI report then. I think we also need to do this. And I want to appeal to those kieleweke or pro-government bloggers who are just thumping themselves on social media, saying that the document is final. LUCIA has said, this is not the Bible. This is not a Quran. This is not something that cannot be amended. I want to appeal to them. None other than the president on the podium of Bomas a few days ago said that we must reason together. We must better this document. And you are there shouting in a shouting match on social media saying that it is final. Where was Uhuru? Where was William Ruto? Where was Musalia Mudavadi? The point Musalia Mudavadi made in Bomas, he conversed them very well in KICC.
Yes.
I remember it was covered live. I was in the house watching. So therefore, this document, if you are talking about Constitution, which is a progressive document, it is a document that will alter the destiny of this country. Every person must understand it in the language that he or she can speak.
Correct.
So therefore, Kiswahili is not just another language, by the way. It is not a vernacular language.
It is
a national language.
Yeah.
It is recognized by the very Constitution as the national language. There is no way we can have a document in the official language. How many Kenyans work in offices and converses official matters? 90%, almost 90% of this republic is speaking the national language. So therefore, it is only fair that this document is
People in Swahili or local
in
languages.
Swahili. I support that.
Asanteni
Should
sana.
even go further to local languages.
Kila mtu apewe na njia yake ambaye anaielewa. Na on the standard of page kabla tujarudi, unajua sasa mimi na nyinyi hatujiongelea page 6 inaongelea all eyes on Uhuru on next step after for the law reform and presence of a bill becoming a law. Some publication of the bill, tabling of the bill in the House, first reading. The bill is committed to respective committee for public debate. Being a constitutional amendment bill, it goes for a mandatory 90 days publication period where public consultation is also carried out. Are there chances that this thing will be passed through parliamentary amendments?
You know, if I can go faster, I have a problem with most of the things that we are talking about there, specifically the sweetness that has been put on this document, and the issue of giving youths a tax holiday.
Why do you have a problem?
Do you really need to bring BBI to do that? In fact, you don't even need parliament for the moment. You just need the Minister for Finance to do a gazette notice vacating paying of tax at a period of time, even if it might not be 7 years. He is given a leeway. Today, we have seen quite a number of mergers being exempted from paying tax by the minister, including the one for the CBA and NIC. It was exempted through a gazette notice by none other than Henry Rotich to pay the tax it is supposed to pay. Therefore, when you tell me you want to give the youth a tax holiday for 7 years, well and good, but tax holiday is given to people who are already in business. Have you created an enabling environment for Lucia or my brother here to do business in the first place? Because I think for me, before you talk about giving youths a tax holiday, we must address the issues of bank and interest, so that he is able to walk to a bank with an idea and get funded. This country, you cannot, before you get a loan in a bank, utakuwa umepiga kaguu. You will have, sometimes you have to sweet talk the manager, the area, the branch manager to be able to get. So when you are telling me about tax holiday, it is okay. It is a good proposal. It is going to help him or her grow business-wise. But that tax holiday does not require BBI. It only required you are elected member of parliament to front, whether it is a party-sponsored, whether it is a private member's bill. Look like what do you call him? The Dode bill. This is the bill by the Kiambu member of parliament, Jude Jomo, the one on the cap interest rates and what have you. If it is about the Higher Education Loans Board, do you really need BBI, or you just need to amend the act that has established the Higher Loans Board? So I'm looking at some of the things that we are talking about we will do. Today, I would tell you, when we are talking about that we want to have inclusivity, what is it that the BBI has talked about inclusivity? Because as the deputy president has interrogated that matter at Bomas, yes, you're going to have a leader of official position and his running mate becoming members of parliament. I welcome that, because let me tell you, the reason why we have them running up and down, or Raila saying that we shall not consume goods from this company or that company, it is watu bio zao ziliishia ukingoni, za sakafu ziliishia ukingoni. They don't have anything else to do other than cause mayhem in this country. That is okay. Get a leader of official opposition and his running mate is members of parliament. Probably put one in the National Assembly and another one to the Senate. That's okay. But convince me, and I need someone to convince me, why we need a prime minister who can be fired at will by the president. Please, somebody needs to convince me why we need one. And I'll tell you, why is it, Lucia, that today the deputy president is becoming a thorn on those people who perceive to be the owners of Jubilee? I'll tell you, we have a very idle deputy president. And I need it to be understood. Idle in this sense. What are the functional responsibility of a deputy president in our constitution? Do you know that the deputy president has a very big budget? You know that? It is almost, is it 3 billion in the office of the DP? Now, my brother here, assume you are the deputy president. Your job description in the constitution is described in 2 sentences. That you are the principal assistant to the president. And you may perform any other responsibility as delegated by the president. And then your office is advanced some 3 billion shillings operational budget of your office. What are you gonna do?
Of course, run around the country.
Run around the country. That is the truth. Why do we need a prime minister rather than operationalize the office of the deputy president as an ex-officio member of parliament and become the leader of government business? Make this guy busy. Make him have responsibilities so that when you govern as the president, he has his roles well articulated in the constitution. He doesn't have time to run around. Now, you are telling me that my brother and Lucia will run around the country asking for votes, and they win, and they become the president and the deputy president, and then within 7 days of being declared the winner or being sworn in, the president appoints a prime minister, and the deputy prime ministers, what becomes the role of the deputy president?
All right. Lucia, there seems to be a scheme to pass most of the amendments through parliament. It has been seen that the president and his brother, Raila Odinga, is almost controlling the parliament because we've united Jubilee and ODM parties. What is the danger in terms of giving the ODM Wananchi a chance in the debate?
Correction, Gerald. They've dismantled Jubilee and inserted ODM.
It's Jubinaza, anyway.
No, not even NASA.
Jubinasa.
Mutego ya Raza ilishika Jubilee.
Not even NASA. That is just an ODM affair.
Watu wa mbogi ya madividu wamejitoa. Anyway, endelea Lucia. Where is the danger?
I think the political elite they perfectly understand the power that the people hold. It's the people who don't understand the power that they hold. And Gerald, I am promising you, if these things are passed through parliament, I will be the one leading Kenyans to just, I don't know, we'll go to the streets. Hatutakubali kuchezewa hivi. They've played us for a very long time and they're not going to do this again. Our voice has to be heard. Things that affect this country have to be thought of carefully, Gerald, because they are going to affect up to our fourth generation. 400 years from now, they are going to be affecting our people still. We won't be here. It's the people who are going to be here that are going to suffer. If careful consideration is not put into these things, then it becomes a problem. Now, the top two have their own agendas that they're trying to push down on us. You know, unasikia watu wa pwani wanasema pwani si Kenya, governors wa pwani walisema nini, wanataka regional counties. You know, how is that helping those people who are feeling fragmented from the rest of the country? So they understand that if they really listen to the voice of the people, then their economic and political interests are not going to come to fruition. They're going to die. The point where they allow the people to have the power that they wield, that is the point where the powers die, and they don't want that. That's the simple reason why they are trying to take it through parliament, because watu wamekataa hii kitu.
All right. Nathaniel, what do you get a feeling on that? Because if we focus on passing these amendments through the parliament without consulting the people, what is the danger? Because the consumers of law are the people.
First of all, Gerald, let me restrict myself to the provisions under Article 255 all the way to 258 of the Constitution, which provides for amendment of the Constitution. Therefore, the proposal that are within BBI that touch on the articles, especially 255, the requirement is that it must go to the people to seek the nod of the people, either in a rejection or in an approval. So if you look at some of the clauses within the BBI that are proposed, for example, they are proposing to amend Chapter 2 of the Republic and introduce responsibilities of a citizen. Then the moment you touch on that, you are touching on clauses that need to go to the referendum. They're also proposing to amend the Bill of Rights by introducing privacy data. Everybody has a right to privacy of data. The moment you touch on any clause on the Bill of Rights, you must go to the people on the referendum. They're also touching on Chapter 6 on leadership and integrity, and that is on expeditious handling of the corruption cases. But the moment you touch on that chapter, you must go to the people. So any clauses that touch on those provisions within Article 255, either territorial integrity, the Bill of Rights, the independence of the commissions, including what they have said about creating the Office of Judiciary Ombudsman. And I have a serious problem with that.
Which already exists.
the judiciary ombudsman is not there, but there is an ombudsman for the country.
No, there's a judiciary ombudsman created by Dr. Willy Mutunga in 2011.
But is it functional? Is there an office holder?
Now that's the problem, because
Yes.
now their funds have been slashed.
Is there an office holder in that position?
Currently, no.
There is no office holder. Now, the proposal in the BBI is to create that office and have a person appointed by the president. That is wrong. And that's why you saw my party leader vehemently opposing that proposal, because the judiciary ombudsman will be like a prefect to the judges. And that's what you heard the deputy president say about judges sometimes back receiving telephone calls from the president. If we were to create the office of the judiciary ombudsman, then that person must be appointed by a panel, and vetting must be done in public, not appointed by the Chief Justice or the President, because we must respect the principle of separation of powers. So if we go to that direction, we'll be plowing back the gains we have made in terms of respecting the independence of
the
institutions. So there are clauses that require an amendment, and those clauses have been contained in the proposals. But issues like expanding the structure of government, creating a prime minister and deputy prime minister, you don't need a referendum. You just need a parliamentary process to create those positions. And I'll give you why.
But that's very dangerous.
I'll give you reasons why.
I think when you talk about the issues of creating the prime minister, you may require to go to a referendum.
It is not necessary.
Let me tell you why it is necessary, unless you are telling me that the prime minister does not need to go to parliament. Because when you read Article 255 of the Constitution,
yes,
it is very clear, and I will read for the purposes of getting it correct. A proposed amendment to this Constitution shall be enacted in accordance with Article 256 or 257 and approved in accordance with Clause 2 by a referendum if an amendment relates to any of the following matters. 1, the supremacy of this Constitution. Number 2, the territory of Kenya. Number 3, the sovereignty of the people. Number 4, the national values and principles of governance referred in Article 10 to D. Number 5, the Bill of Rights. Number 6, the term of office of the president. Number 7, the independence of the judiciary and the commission and independent offices to which Chapter 15 applies. Number 8, the functions of parliament, which would have to go through to the referendum to allow the prime minister. Yes.
Now let me finish the reason why it is not necessary to seek to go to a referendum to create the position of prime minister. And he has read all of them.
Yes.
There is nowhere it has touched on it, and I will explain why. And you can even get further opinion from the lawyers.
Yes.
Now, creating positions of prime minister and deputy prime ministers, you can do it easily in parliament. But changing the system of government, you must go to the people. For example, currently we are using a presidential system. If we wanted to change it to a parliamentary system, or a hybrid system, we must go to the people to change the system of government. But creating positions, you can do them through parliament. Recently, the president,
Does creating position of prime minister and deputy prime ministers amount to a hybrid parliamentary system?
It doesn't amount to that. The reason why, even recently, the president created the positions of CAS, it didn't need even the concurrence of the parliament. He just gazetted that there was the creation of the position of chief administrative secretaries
and
through
also
a gazette notice.
yes,
Now, let me give another example. In 2007, immediately after that election, we had the Kenya National Dialogue and Reconciliation process headed by Kofi Annan. And it resulted to a national accord and reconciliation agreement. That accord, if you read it, there is an act that came there after the accord was enacted. That accord created the position of prime minister and deputy prime ministers in parliament without. So the reason why I am advancing this, it is not necessary to go to parliament. So in short, the question you asked, Gerald, there are things that can be that need to go to a referendum for the people to vote on, the ones that I mentioned, on the Bill of Rights, on Chapter 6, on the independence of judiciary and all those.
All right.
But there are things that will require administrative action within government, like the one Muchendu said about the 7-year tax holiday. You just need the PS to gazette it, and then it will take effect. There are things that will require policy intervention at cabinet level. And then most of the things I have seen they have proposed, like the help loans and the prompt payment bill, they have suggested what they call legislations to be enacted by parliament. Those can be debated. So it is a cocktail of implementation mechanism within this BBI document.
But I also noticed there's no implementation matrix, by the way, in the document, which is a discussion for another day, because it does not tell us how they are going to implement it. A constitutional amendment should come with a roadmap on how they are going to implement from which state to which state. This document does not have an implementation matrix, which is a story for another day. Now, Nation Avi has also disagreed very strongly on the formation of the Ombudsman's office. He says the Law Society of Kenya has rejected the BBI proposal for a judiciary ombudsman to be appointed by the president. And lawyers say... Nation Avi said lawyers will lobby for the proposal to be rejected in parliament or at the referendum. He said they will challenge any legislation enacted to implement the unconstitutional proposal. After it is clear that the role of ombudsman will be to inspect the judicial officers with the aim of intimidating and castigating judges.
That is true.
Will in essence have a silent executor who walks in to collect gossip and rumors to railroad judges. Will not allow that. As said by National Avi, I think that's what we need to go by from a professional point of view. Tutakuja, I want us to discuss something. But before you get to that, Taka to very quickly, we all review the speeches by the leaders, starting from President Uhuru Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, William Ruto, Mudavadi, and Wetangula, and Atuoli, as you pick wherever you want to review. But for in the interest of time, to pitia very very quickly, Ndanza nayo Muchendu, can you review the speeches at the Bomas of Kenya? Tukirudi tutakuja kwenda video of the day, alafu tuiongelee tufunge bunga la mwananchi.
You know, I have to address the speech by a very young person by the name Matere, who actually challenged the DP on the 16th century invention. It's okay. We agree. We all agree that the 16th century tool should not have a place in our nation during the 21st century. But let's go back. What is the baseline for the kazi mtaani? What is the baseline for the kazi mtaani? Kazi mtaani is executed with three very important tools. One of them is a panga that the youths have been given. A panga has been here for so many years. It is a 16th century invention. It is what His Excellency the President has given the youths to earn kazi mtaani. If you talk about the slasher, how long has the slasher been in this republic? It was invented in the 16th century. So if you are challenging the Deputy President on using the wheelbarrow and cocoten, why are you giving people kazi mtaani with tools that are from the 16th century? In fact, I dare say, look at the train that was inaugurated from Nairobi to Nanyuki. It is an invention of the colonial masters in the early 50s that is being used to transport people from Nairobi to... Now, I want to say, let us not base our politics on cosmetic challenges of each other and the models that we are using to address the issues of youths. We are simply saying the entire political class has failed to address the issues of young people. That's basically what we are saying. And I want to challenge Matere. If you are seriously honest and talking about the issues of young people, do not become a sycophant. And you have said that I address the speeches in Bomas. I can only have the audacity to address maybe Kodol. I mean, agree with 4 speeches actually. The speech of the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga on Bomas was very nice. I love that speech. Other than the place where he called someone a bourgeois, the rest of the speech was very statesman-like.
Isn't he himself bourgeois?
You know, that is a subject for another day. I don't want to be drawn into that discussion of whether he is one. But he did give a very good speech. It's a national-like speech. I love the way he talked. I will also commend the speech by His Excellency the President. Since 2012, I saw the Uhuru I knew. Very honest, very candid. And I love the way that his deputy president set an agenda for him. He even forgot to read the actual speech to launch BBI. Therefore, for those who are saying it is final, as far as we are concerned, BBI is not yet launched. The speech to do that was never read. But I must also commend Bishop Oginde of the Christ is the Answer Ministry. He called the politicians for who they are.
Yes.
He made, I mean, for me that was the take home for the day. Honestly, that was the take home for the day. The speech by Bishop Oginde, because he alluded to what kind of a political nation we are. That these people are not competing because they are enemies. They are competing to ensure that only their interest is at the center stage.
Yeah.
It is not the interest of Wajiko. And that is why he said, in fact, and I quote him, he said, I prophesy that it is not a wonder for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, to work together in 2022, because these politicians are all the same. So therefore, Kenyans must understand the position. Sisi tunatusiana hapa, sijui kieleweke, sijui tanga, sijui hapo katikati. Look at the hearty laugh between the president and his deputy. Look at how they were enjoying each other on the stage. Na wewe unapigana tu hapa. So what I took in Bomas, I saw a political class that is not enemies with each other. I saw a political class that is pushing on this side and another one on this side, until we have made the interest of the political class our own interest. And we forgot that as Kenyans, we also have a life, we also have things that we can do ourselves. So my take home talk on the Bomas issue is that Kenyans must realize, my dear brothers, my dear sisters, we are on our own. This political class is one and the same. I keep telling people, in the midst of calling Raila Odinga Kimodo Kegorok, in the midst of calling Raila Odinga someone who has brought this nation down on its knee, in the midst of that, and His Excellency, the former Prime Minister, lost his son, in the midst of them calling name to each other, the president still availed a military jet to take the body of the Raila Odinga's son from Nairobi to the Nyanza. Because these people are not enemies. There is only two tribes in this country.
The rich and the poor.
And they have not. So therefore, Bitok, from what I gathered, this document is not being opposed by anybody. In no matters of principle, hakuna mtu akona shida na hii document. Because I'll tell you, whether you are Ruto or you are Raila Odinga or you are Musalia Mudavadi and you are looking to be the president, this document provides us an imperial president. Ask me why. Today, the president, if he has to appoint the cabinet, they have to be vetted by parliament.
You've gone back to the document. Muchendu, the issues we review the statements made by the speeches by the leaders that you had there.
Yes, I would say they were good, but my take home is the speech by Bishop Oginde of Sitam.
All right. Lucia, would you mind reviewing the speeches very quickly?
Bishop Oginde also carried the day for me. That was an honesty that was long overdue. And I think all the other bishops need to take a hard stand like that. They really need to tell their flock what it is, for what it is, what it is. And they need to say it, because how many churches do we have in Kenya? If all the bishops were to tell their people the same thing that Bishop Oginde said, all of us will be a little bit more enlightened. Kwa Concerning the tackle that the DP was given, it's neither here nor there. That's just politics, and it's stupid. Concerning all the other speeches made by politicians, our politicians know how to make good speeches. They make the perfect speeches. But Gerald, I'm still hung on implementation. And here is my problem with all the speeches that were made on that day. This, on the first page of this report, it says, Report of the Steering Committee on the Implementation of the Building Bridges to a United Kenya Task Force Report. Building bridges to a United Kenya, from a nation of blood ties to a nation of ideals. I did not hear any ideologies in those speeches. So for you guys to give us a document that says we are moving from a nation of blood ties to a nation of ideals and give zero ideology just tells us where your interest is at, which is selfish greed.
All right. Would you mind reviewing the speeches made by the leaders?
First of all, I've had my colleagues here on the panel. I want to say that the best speech that carried the day for me, with all the biasness that I have, is Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi. And even at the beginning of the show, the two agreed that Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi made the best speech. It carried the day. He highlighted the need for us to have a national consensus in this issue, in this referendum, or rather in this discussion. So for me, I think Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi always comes out as the sober person. We might disagree on the delivery of his message, but he always comes out as the person who has valid points, as they said in their own words. But I think at the end of the day, Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi carried the day for me, followed by Bishop Oginde. And I think I also think the Deputy President came out as somebody who cannot be cowed when he's making his point. And he stood out with grace and dignity. When people were jeering and booing him, he came out and said, you have said your bit, let me also say my bit. So that inspired me a lot in terms of a leader who can be able to remain calm when you're making your point and people are jeering you. So I think the Deputy President, we should commend him for remaining calm and respectful to people who are disagreeing with him. He didn't lose his temper, he didn't lose his calm, he remained sober throughout making his speech. And then I also think the President came out and said things that he should not have said, like revealing the issue of the relay race, that his deputy was running ahead of time and running behind, abandoning the Jubilee manifesto. And by the way, Gerald, we need to revisit this. Remember 2017 when the Deputy President used to tell us, we in the NASA Brigade, that we don't have a plan, we don't have a manifesto, we don't have a candidate. You remember the jab he was throwing at us? Now he was selling the Jubilee manifesto. So the President was throwing a jab at him and telling him, now you have abandoned the quest, the manifesto that we promised the people, including the 1.2 million jobs. The Jubilee election manifesto promised to create every year, including a double-digit economy, including 9 stadiums that were supposed to be built. So I think the President threw a jab at his deputy, which was quite not expected for the occasion, because the occasion was for national healing and consensus around an important document that will change the destiny of this country. So the President came out as very hilarious. I found the President to be more appealing to the people when he is not reading written scripts. He came out as somebody who naturally speaks, and he spoke to the heart. I remember when he said that if we don't take care of the youth bulge, the unemployment in this country, then that is a time bomb that will threaten the survival and the peace of this nation. So the President gave a very good speech in terms of involving young people in economic management. Let me ask you a simple question, Gerald. And to our viewers, when Murang'a is giving Nairobi water from the Abadeas, when Kiambu, the Ndakaini Dam, is giving us water, when Kikuyu Springs, Sasuma Dam is giving Nairobi water, what is Nairobi giving these counties? What is Nairobi giving Kiambu and Murang'a under shared prosperity?
Vipindire.
When Kitui is giving Kenya coal, what is Kenya giving Kitui? When Turkana is giving us oil, what is Kenya giving Turkana?
The middle finger.
When Masai Mara is selling the country, globally with the magical Kenya and the Masai Mara. What is Kenya giving Masai Mara? I mean, Narok County in return. So when you're talking about shared prosperity, and I'm just saying this within the context of the speech of the president, we must have a serious conversation around the issue of sharing prosperity of this country. And that's why when you heard Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi talking about the public debt, he said in the reference that if we don't take care of the public debt, now that they have devolved 35%, the national government is going to remain with 65%. The national government is going to be overwhelmed in fulfilling its international obligation, including debt, at the same time budgeting for the national functions within 65%. It is little. Even with 100%, with 85%, the national government is still strained in implementing most of its function, especially also at the same time paying debt.
Right. So mbona nyinyi wote mnaenda mpaka mnapotea? Lakini sasa Muchende very quickly.
I want to finalize by saying
please.
There is a young person who has been talked about here called Alex Matere. I know Alex Matere in person. I was with him yesterday when we were addressing the country on the issues of young people. And I think Alex Matere was just excited with we got excited with the platform. But he started very, very, very well. He gave a very good speech at the beginning. He pointed out the issues that young people are going to benefit from the BBI document, which is a good thing, including something that I've noted positively in the BBI report around young people getting getting an advantage in terms of the political party getting a political party's fund. But Alex Matere veered off the script, I think because he's running for senator in Trans Nzoia. And you know, the politics of Trans Nzoia is very tricky. He shouldn't have gone that direction.
I agree.
Of throwing a jibe at the deputy president, because Trans Nzoia, 48% of the voters in Trans Nzoia are followers of the deputy president.
And this brings me to my problem now.
Yes.
Why
Before
is
you
it
go back
that he has to bow down to someone in order to get the votes from that region? Because he does not have ideologies.
Lucia, the realities of Kenyan politics is that people have followers. It is not wrong the deputy president to have followers.
No,
in
it
Trans
is
Nzoia.
not.
Now, the people look at a leader. In Trans Nzoia, that is the reality of politics. We must.
But anyway, guys,
so
we must agree. I don't know. I don't want to take that, but we must agree that that was too childish. That statement was out of place. But anyway, saying he got excited is a lie, because if you have ever spoken a presidential event, which I have myself, is all speeches are sanctioned because nobody wants to get a surprise from what you're going to say, and every speech is sanctioned, and they before you're going to make, they know what you're going to talk about. They cannot allow you to go and throw things. So
I liked how the deputy president held his school.
He took it very lightly,
How he responded to Alex Matere himself. He said that there's a brilliant young man from Kitale who has said this, and he was alluding and referring to me.
And I think, the way I look at it as well.
The deputy president held himself with high regard, and I want to commend him for that. Amidst the pressure, he held himself in high regard. That is something very positive.
And it actually throws a challenge to us as young people as well. I would not think someone else would give such a guy an opportunity to speak again in a national function, because the president might not speak about it, Mudavadi might not speak about it, but it got people off. Everybody was like, huh? Okay, what was that? You get it.
But
so as young people as well,
Musalia Mudavadi gave the best speech for me.
I'm saying from the young man, unajua umekuja hapa kupigia upata. But I'm talking about the young man. Muchendu, very quickly. And Muchendu ukipewa nafasi piga mahali inapiga. Si unaomba nafasi tena na zile nafasi imeenda. Very quickly.
You know,
kupea nafasi unaenda BBI tena
I want to pick it from where he has said that.
Very quickly.
For those people who are in Jubilee and they thought that the deputy president is a pushover, they need to go back to the drawing board, because number one, with all honesty, I did not expect the DP to show up at that event, considering that none of the people who support him was invited to the event. So it was a plus for me that he even showed up. But now, not just showing up, he showed up and he dared these people right on their face. Do you remember that if you look at the speeches given at the Bomas of Kenya, and if you look at the 75% of the speeches that were given, apart from the business community that was allowed to speak on terms of business, 75% of the people who spoke, their business for the day was to attack the deputy president. That was basically the truth. Look at Atuoli, look at all those people who spoke. They were pointing out at the deputy president. Look at the majority leader in the Senate. But I want to say that when I saw Ruto execute his points, it took me back to 11 years back, when Ruto was defending himself against a motion of no confidence in parliament, when he was the Minister for Agriculture, and the motion was brought by none other than the bullfighter, Bon Karware. I mean, the composure in the deputy president to address the crowd despite the booing and what have you, it is what has brought him out as a very strong person, as a person you cannot just wake up and wish away. And I dare say, he actually brought the agenda and set the agenda for the president, that the president could not read his written speech beyond the introduction. He had to respond to what the deputy president spoke about. Therefore, I think Murathe and company, and whoever thinks that the deputy president in Jubilee is a pushover, you must think again. You must sit back and think again. But I would also address the president of the republic. When you are saying that your deputy president ameanza kuangalia kwenye huko, the politics is not like a relay. Politics ni ile unaweza kimbia ukifika pale ukatae na baton. So these guys has to ensure that he applies some oil on your hands so that it becomes hard for you to refuse with that baton. So the deputy president is doing exactly what ought to be done in politics. Ensure that idiot or whoever is having the baton does not refuse with it.
Alright, asante.
Yes.
Alright. Wacha tuende kwa video of the day. Wacha tuende kwa video ya siku. Tukirudi tuweza comment on the video and then when we come back tunafungua bunge la mwenye nchi. Wacha tusikize majamaa wanasemaje.
Nataka kuambia wale wanatulazimishia hii BBI kwa nguvu. Msifanye kazi ya kulazimisha alafu kesho ile vitu mmepanga hapo, mtego mmepanga ikuwe nyinyi ndio mnaingia. Let me give you free warning. Ndio 2022 mzianze kulia. Wakati unatengeneza sheria, this is what we say and the food will tell you. When you are making law, imagine your worst enemy will be the one who will preside over the implementation of that law. I want to tell those who are pushing for an imperial presidency, creating other offices for an imperial presidency. Please just imagine your worst competitor, your worst adversary will be the next President of the Republic of Kenya. Will you be comfortable when he has those powers? If you are comfortable that your worst adversary will have those powers, bring him tomorrow, we vote for it. As you are 2010, we will do in Naruto, walikuwa no. Raila akaambiwa kuna makosa kwa sheria, akasema hapana. Katiba ni sasa, na kama sio sasa ni sasa hivi. Ikapita, ilipopita yeye akakwenda nyumbani vizuri na William Ruto, wakaingia serikali. Ile ofisi alikuwa William Ruto akaenda kukaa hapo, akakuwa kwa ile ofisi tu ndio alikuwa, na akakuwa deputy president. Sasa yeye anasema reggae ni sahi, nobody can stop reggae. I want to remind him in 2010 ulisema katiba ni sasa and sasa hivi. 2014 ukaleta maandamano. Ile unatuambia nobody can stop reggae, na reggae ikipita.
Forever call you my learned friend, not to your neighbor who is next to you, because you need to be candid. I am very happy with Mr. Sangal. Forever call you my learned friend, not to your neighbor who is next to you, because you need to be candid. When Parliament is dealing with something which is clearly unconstitutional, we should say so. We should not let it pass. But if it passes, even the courts are going to say, was welcome there, was sung there, was Kilonzo there, was the Attorney General Emeritus, was it there? Was the Speaker there, who is a legal student, was it there? So I urge you that this bill is only for rejection. And in conclusion, I want to talk to my sister Nyaugenya, Honorable Beth Mugo. We have gone through the trenches with you. You know how, when governments are in power, how they behave. I think probably you can give people on the other side a little education. That sometimes revolutions eat their own children. Yes. government eats their own people. This government is going to punish you more than they will punish me. I'm telling you, in another 1 year, you will be crying in my office to come and represent you. I know, I can tell you. I've appeared for President Kibaki when he was in the opposition about laws which were made here. I've appeared for President Uhuru and Vice President Ruto when Kanu was going away. When Kibaki was taking away his members and making them ministers, I went to court on their behalf. But now that they're in power, they are forgetting. And power, when power gets into your head, I can tell you, you will never remember that one day there's a bigger power, almighty, that will deal with you.
Mimi nataka kuambia wale wanatulazimishia hii BBI kwa nguvu. Msifanye kazi ya kulazimisha, alafu kesho ile vitu mmepanga hapo, mtego mmepanga, ikuwe nyinyi ndio mnaingia. Let me give you free warning. Ndio 2022 msianze kulia. Wakati unatengeneza sheria, this is what we say and the truth will tell you. When you are making law, imagine your worst enemy will be the one who will preside over the implementation of that law. I want to tell those who are pushing for an imperial presidency, creating other offices for an imperial presidency, please just imagine your worst competitor, your worst adversary will be the next president of the Republic of Kenya. Will you be comfortable when he has those powers? If you are comfortable that your worst adversary will have those powers, bring it tomorrow, we vote for it. Najua 2010 huyu Linturi na Ruto walikuwa no. Raila akaambiwa kuna makosa kwa hii sheria, akasema hapana, katiba ni sasa, na kama sio sasa ni sasa hivi. Si ikapita. Ilipopita yeye akakwenda nyumbani, Linturi na William Ruto wakaingia serikali. Ile ofisi alikuwa William Ruto akaenda kukaa hapo, akakuwa kwa ile ofisi tu venye alikuwa, na akakuwa deputy president. Sasa yeye amesema reggae ni sahi, nobody can stop reggae. I want to remind him, in 2010 ulisema katiba ni sasa na ni sasa hivi. 2014 ukalete maandamano. Ile unatuambia nobody can stop reggae, na reggae ikipita usilete maandamano 2025 kama vile ulilete maandamano 2024. So jifikirie, enda ulale ufikirie mzuri sana. Sisi sio wakubafu, tunakuangalia tu, tunapanga, tunasema okay, iko nini hapo ndani, hizi mzuri, hizi mzuri, hizi mzuri, lakini hata ikipita tutanyorosha hii na kunyorosha ile. So umeelewa nini tunasema? Tunatumia akili. Sisi sio watu kukaa namna hii. Na hatuwezi kubali mtu atumie BBI akifikiria ndio apate pesa ya umma kuzunguka Kenya kupiga William Ruto. Utashangaa nini itafanyika kutoka kesho kwenda mbele. Wacha nisiseme mengi. Sisi kesho kapteni yetu Rais Uhuru Kenyatta atatuambia sasa ile maneno alituambia kwa Kisii. Alisema yeye amesoma hii katiba mara ya kwanza, ameona mara ya kwanza, akasema tutayabadilisha. So akuja atuambie kesho pango yake ya kwenda mbele ni nini. Kutoka hapo sisi tutachipanga. Na mimi nataka kumwambia Uhuru Kenyatta hawezi hapa. Akipiga kona sisi tunapiga kona na yeye. Akipiga kona yeye sisi tunapiga na yeye. Kwa sababu sisi ndio tumeinvest kwake. Akijaribu kuepa kona tutamnyorosha arudi kona mpaka tufike ile destination tulikuwa tumeambiwa wa Kenya, kuunganisha Kenya pamoja. Hatutakubali mambo ya kugawanya wa Kenya kwa sababu ya tofauti ya vitu mbili tatu. Lazima tuunganishe wa Kenya twende mbele. Na kama ni kuunganisha Kenya, mtu wa wheelbarrow akue pia hiyo meza ya kuunganisha taifa la Kenya.
Those are two people different times. Two people different times. One ni James Orengo pale akisema kwamba sheria zile za Security Bill 2014 zikianza kupitishwa itaenda kukanyaga. Anasema kwamba revolutions its own children. And it's quite interesting ya kwamba he was that man who was talking about eating its own children until he was in government. Let's go to Orengo. What happened to Orengo? Mushendu, very quickly.
I think Orengo is a seasoned politician. He foresees things. I would give it to him. I have always valued what Orengo says, regardless of his political party affiliations. I relate with most of his sentiments because he addresses the Senate as the elder he is in the Senate. And I think when he was giving this speech, you would remember Kina Kipchumba Murkomen and the company were still the leaders of government business in the House. And he told them in 1 year, the government is going to eat its own children. That is exactly what happened in that 1 year. I mean, even if it's not that year, it is something he said that is going to happen. So I think for me is, other than that, at times he has to play the might game of his party. Most of the time, Orengo is able to address issues critically. And I think the government of the day has done exactly what Orengo predicted would happen. And you have heard now the ball is on the other side of the senator for Marakwet, Elgeyo Marakwet, Kipchumba Murkomen. He is now advising us that when passing the laws, we must think what happens if we are not on that side of the battered side of the bread. You remember when we were passing the security laws, if anybody can remember? And if you would be gracious enough to pray the speeches, if you have the speeches of Kipchumba Murkomen and company, when they were answering Kina Musalia Mudavadi and Kina Raila Odinga on the issues of security laws. And I think it is what the deputy president said at Bomas, that when you're passing a law or you're making a law, you must think beyond you being in power. You must think what will happen if I give these particular laws to somebody else, especially someone who does not favor me. And I think that is what we need, the conversation we need to have about the set of laws that we are saying we want to amend. We must ask ourselves, are we doing this in the interest of the fact that we are in power, or we actually foresee ourselves in power tomorrow? Or are we doing this to help the republic? Because let me tell you, for those people who are driving the president from where I come from in the mountain, they must think. They must think. I can tell you without blinking, 2022 there will not be a Kikuyu president. I can tell you without blinking, there will not be a president from the mountain.
Politics is very dynamic.
It is very dynamic, but I can tell you, it is definitely not going to be. And if it is a Kikuyu, then the Kikuyu nation must be declared a republic. Because let me tell you. So therefore, I think Orengo, as you have said, Orengo has said the things the way they are. Whatever we do today,
we'll come back to haunt us tomorrow.
We won't come back to haunt us tomorrow. So let's do what we are doing today for the sake of tomorrow's generation, not for the sake of our community or the fact that I will be in power tomorrow.
All right, Lucia, even I was speaking about Orengo, what happened to Orengo? Where is the turnaround? Because Orengo at that time understood that laws shouldn't be made with posterity because they'll come back to haunt us. But now he's there, he's in government and he's quiet while laws are being made that is bludgeoning these guys. And now it is Murkomen who is telling us that these laws you're making today will come and eat us. Where is Orengo today as we're making these laws? What happened to Orengo?
I actually don't know what happened to Ajimi. You know, it is actually very sad because he's a professional in politics. And being in the law profession, he should provide sober guidance at all times. He shouldn't lean on one side. But then even as we speak of Orengo, so is Murkomen. When they were amending the security bill, did he understand what he understands right now? Because then it was just a law to oppress someone, and he's on the receiving end of it. These are people who have been in politics for a very long time, and I think they're just caught in the vicious circle of politics, because Gerald, if I understand what the law is, I should be able to defend you today, whether we are on good terms or not. Whether you're my friend or my enemy, you have your rights. You're entitled to those rights, and I need to protect those rights as a fellow Kenyan. So when we don't see this happening, it just, I think it's the cycle of politics, because there's a lot of revenge up and down in politics, going round and round and round, and these people have been in that cycle for a very long time, and they're just caught up in it. It's like a frog in a boiling pot of water. It doesn't know how to get out, and it's sad. It's very, very sad, because it just kills the name of a profession in politics. It's because now if you want to tell people, oh, we need more professionals in parliament, then they mention Akina Orengo, senior counsel, you know, and you're okay, aren't they professionals? They are professionals. What are they really doing for their profession? What have they done for lawyers in this country? Just leave alone the common Kenyan, you know, people in your profession. It's sad. It's just sad. I don't have any other word to describe it.
All right. It looks we are very good before we get what we are, what we are fighting for.
Yeah.
Orengo, a good chap in opposition, but a terrible guy in government. And either way, now we have two different people, different times speaking about the same thing. What are your thoughts, Nathaniel? And as Nathaniel is giving his remarks, Bunge la Mwananchi iko wazi. Bunge la Mwananchi is open 0779-800-010 or 779-800-010. As he gives his remarks, when you come back, tunachukua simu zenu kwa dakika 10 tukifunga. All right.
I think, Gerald, you rightly said it. When we are making laws, we should make laws for posterity.
Yeah.
We should not make laws with bearing individuals in mind. And that's why there is all these doubts around the BBI, that we are making these changes or proposing them with individuals in mind in 2022. That is where the problem starts. When you listen to the speeches by the two leaders, who I highly admire, most of them, if you look at the public life they have led quite a successful public life, including Orengo. When he was in the trenches fighting for liberation, especially the second liberation, which was to acquire multi-party in Kenya. Orengo was a public-spirited person. I don't know whether he's still public-spirited. I don't know whether he has forgotten the ideals that we are fighting for the third and final liberation. And if you look at Murkomen is a very brilliant legal mind in this country, a young person who has the prospects for the future. So when you look at these two leaders flipping the coin, that today Orengo is talking about this and this, and then tomorrow it is the other side of the coin. They are interchanging positions. I think it is wrong. We should make laws for posterity, and that's why my colleagues here have reminded us that previously, when we were passing the security laws, we were pushing it so hard so that we could curtail the NASA brigade from moving around the country to overthrow Jubilee from power. That was a mistake. We should be able to enact laws, including constitutional changes, to ensure that these laws are for posterity and for the good of the republic. So if you listen to what Orengo was advising the Jubilee Brigade then, when Murkomen was the majority leader, that government eats their own children, and it is true. But Gerald, we should avoid the politics of deceit, politics of dishonesty. When we are in government, we should implement the manifestos that we promise the people, not trying to revenge against one person X or person Y. We should implement the manifesto of the people. And that's why when I'm telling you this, it is very important. When my party leader made a presentation before KICC, as Muchendu said, we said one of our recommendations under the governance pillar is that we need to have clarity of power. Where does power rest? We should not have two centers of power, like what we did in Nusumkate, and like what we are foreseeing now, in the words of Muchendu, an idle deputy president. The reason why this is happening, it is because of dishonesty in politics and having two centers of power. If we have one center of power with clear delegation, that you will discharge the following responsibilities, I don't think these things that we are hearing from Orengo and Murkomen will be happening. Basically, it is a fight about power. Somebody has felt they have been elbowed out because of the handshake. Previously, the others were felt that the government was too much, and it was actually too much at that time against the fundamental rights within the Bill of Rights. So I think when we are enacting important legislations, including the Constitution, we should make laws for posterity. And I think we have a challenge as young people who are going to lead this country into the future. When most of these people are out of politics, we the young people must reboot this country. We must start the politics of ideologies. We must have honesty and implementing the things we tell the people. So I think we have a serious generational mission as a group of young people who are aspiring to be leaders in future.
Alright. Bunge la mwenyeshi kwa wazi wa 779-800-010 o 779-800-010. Hivi nasema lakini Orengo kwani Orengo amesahau did he need to get into government to forget that rules or government it is on people? What makes him think that the relationship between Uhuru and Raila will not come back to bite him back? And that was actually my point from that issue, because it looks like these guys they forget so fast once they get it. Until there are those babies being pampered by the government, they still they forget it.
I don't think they actually forget. I think they know, and they actually anticipate it to happen. That is why they never solve the problem, because it's just like, oh, itakuja and then itapita itaenda. It's they wameizoea. Kuna kama zoeano fulani wameizoea paka they are now comfortable with it. It's just like it's part and parcel of politics in this country.
All right. Good morning.
Morning, Gerard.
How are you?
I'm okay.
Talk to us, sir. This is Hillary, right?
Hillary Lele.
Yes, Hillary.
Okay.
Najua nimejua masauti yenu sasa.
I wanted to talk to Salimia, Lucia and Mushendu.
Kwani hamwezi anza na mimi?
Tumesalimika.
Najua naweza funga kiosk. Tuambie lakini.
Unafunga kiosk.
Tuambie.
Mimi niko mzuri. Sasa I wanted to tell something to Nathaniel. Kuna kitu Lucia I was saying, I think it echoed what most millions of voters wanajua. Musalia Mudavadi is, I think he all brief for Musalia. I think ni youth leader.
Anasema ni mzungumzaji wa vijana wa ANC, Mbogi ya Musalia.
Unajua hii Mbogi ya Musalia, Musalia is a very good leader. What he puts across in terms of content and everything, it's actually what a presidential candidate should look like. What he has been saying all along about public debt, the economy, bila aliongea Bomas, kuhusu hiyo office of the ombudsman, it is actually the message that we need across. But Musalia Mudavadi is a very flat person. He cannot get across in terms of communicate. I think that is where the problem is, because sometimes thing like Ruta might be saying something which is not necessarily a substantive thing, but what to scare. But Musalia Mudavadi is talking about issues which we actually need, but I think the way it is being put across is where the problem is.
Okay, so
what I would advise is that maybe he talks with his boss, so that the way he is communicating, he lacks that boldness. You see, we take his presidential issue as a joke, because, like I said, the message I put across is good, but the manner in which it's being put across is the problem.
Okay. So unataka enda ongeza shilingi nyingine au unataka weka?
Nadhani this is the point where we say leaders are born and not everyone is born a leader.
Hillary. Tunashukuru sana.
But the advice is well taken.
Okay. Otherwise, I think you are doing great. I've been following you around. But you see the press mulipeana jana, those are the youth, especially that guy who was talking near Matere.
Tulipeana nini jana?
He's talking about the press. Yes, yesterday.
Yesterday's press. I think it was that time. From what I'm sitting, it was targeted towards somebody. You see, I wonder whether that is a council of youth that represent a cross-board of political divide. But okay, maybe it's my take, because hiyo video nilipata kwa Gerald, maybe hata Gerald naye aliedit kufit.
Hakuna kitu niliweka venye iko. And I was actually wondering, because if that's how you're going to build bridges, then we have a very long way to go.
In fact, that's my worry. You see, the pressure itself was actually like it was being used to sideline one person. Yet we are saying that
building bridges.
Unajua Gerald, not all the youth walienda university. The issue of Juakali, unajua nilikuwa niongelea there were 7 years moratorium, which moratorium kama hauna biashara.
Alright, sana Hillary. Good morning.
Good morning, Gerald.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm watching the show, and first of all, I want to congratulate you on the panel today. I really like the discussion.
Thank you so much. Who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to George.
This is
Now, my point is... George.
Okay. Yes, George.
My point is that in this discussion about the BBI, I find Musalia to be the only honest politician who's speaking for the people. And I've heard the first caller who's called and saying motivation about Musalia. The issue is I think Musalia Mudavadi speaks for the middle class. And unfortunately, the middle class are the people who are thinking right when it comes to politics. But the problem with our country, I think that is that
they don't participate in politics.
The people who carry the votes are the ones in the lower class, and majority of times our votes don't count. So I find Musalia to be speaking the truth, the only genuine person speaking genuine issues about this BBI thing.
But to the wrong people.
Not really. The rest is that when we look at the other two camps, the pro-Huru and the pro-Ruto, all of them are aligned to their own interests.
Yeah, sure.
But the person who has the interest of the people is Musalia. And the other issue is about James Orengo. You know, my disappointment with him even starts with the revenue allocation bill. Because besides knowing that he's a very well-seasoned politician and a very good lawman, I was really disappointed when he took the other camp, when he knows exactly, like, they said he should be defending if he was on his own rights. But now you find that he has to represent his party. So I am also wondering what happened to our Honorable James Orengo in terms of principles. Yeah.
Alright. Mambo ya sheria unafikiriaje? Hata hii BBI zile tunasema tukimbize tuipitise, ikifika kama ni mtu mwingine ambaye, because everyone is saying they want to pass BBI in their own interest. What if the people that you want to pass against are the ones who will have the powers at that time?
Actually, I like what Nathaniel was saying. Because them creating clickbait with issues like tax haven. You know, at first I was supporting BBI, not because I liked it, but when I heard about the issue of tax holiday for youth, it really nailed me. And I said, like, perhaps if we pass these things will be good for the youth. But your two guests, Nathaniel and I can't remember the other one, MUCHENDU or something.
Yes.
They brought out some really important issues. These are things that can be passed without the BBI. So why are they using it as a bait to bait the youth to pass the BBI? And when you come and look in terms of how the BBI is arranged, it is going to benefit the ruling class more than it is going to benefit the people. And the talk so far has been about benefiting the people, and they are not telling us about the extra positions they've created, which have doubled. Because I remember after the elections, they said that we have 11,000 elected leaders in this nation.
Now we have increased.
Now you're looking... Yeah, now...
All right. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Bonajela.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine. This is Samuel kutoka Nyandarua.
Yes, Samuel, vipi dadi?
Mzuri sana. I'm very happy to see a great panel over there.
Asante sana ndugu yangu.
And I congratulate you for a quality debate over there.
Thank you, my brother.
Mimi nataka kukemea youth wenzangu kutoka Central Province. I could see many of them heckling the deputy president. I feel the deputy president is a deputy MC. That was not good. And I really liked what Musalia Mudavadi said and Lucho. And that's why we say that the BBI process should be a genuine process if it's actually for our future generation. But if it is about 2022, maybe to block someone, it inastahili kataliwe kabisa.
Nyinyi watu wa Nyandarua mnasemaje?
Sisi watu wa Nyandarua tunasema ya kwamba the future generation ndio tunastahili tuangalie sana. Si ati kwa sababu huyu ametoka katika kabila letu na huyu mwingine ametoka katika ile kabila, we take sides on the BBI. No. Tunastahili kukuja pamoja ofisi wote.
Yes.
Tuweze kuangalia kama tupitie, kama tuangushe mara moja, lakini tusiangalie misingi ama tukue psychopaths.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much watu wa Nyandarua. I'm happy to have you. Na uite watu wa Nyandarua kwa wengi. Halika kesho nataka uniletee marafiki watano kutoka Nyandarua.
nitakuletea Gerard.
Inawezekana?
Inawezekana.
Kesho nataka uniambie umeleta 5 people from Nyandarua na unipe majina yao, alafu tuanze kujenga hii familia pole pole.
Nitakupigia after this show.
Thank you so much my brother.
Okay.
Have a good day. Okay. Watu wa Nyandarua, thank you muno. Tunapenda radhimu, tunapendwa zaidi. Thank you. Alright. Watu unasikia wapiga simu wanasemaje, na wacha tuweze, kwa sababu ya wakati imetuacha, wacha tukimbize haraka tuanze kurespond to callers, alafu tujue inakwaje. Wacha tuanze na Muchendu, your response very quickly.
I would probably say that as the young people, and I keep on repeating this on this show, and I will keep on saying it until cows come home. The future of this republic in the
don't come.
Yes?
What if the cows don't come home?
Lazima zikuje. You see, I did not specify which home. Understand? That the future of the Republic of Kenya is with the young people.
Yes.
And nobody is going to come and push you from where you are to come and take your place in the future of this nation. You have to take it. Let me tell you, and I'm a son of a pastor, so I'll want to give you a biblical perspective. Do you know where the Bible says that from the time of John the Baptist, the kingdom of God suffereth violence.
And it is the violence that take it by force.
Yes. Before you reach that verse, hapo juu utasoma usikie. By that time, the Bible declared that there was no greater man born like John the Baptist. But one of the main undoing of John the Baptist was that he was a coward. Let me tell you, John the Baptist goes to the river and baptizes Jesus. And the voice from heaven came and said, "This is my beloved son." And then John the Baptist is later seen when he is arrested, sending his disciples to go and ask whether Jesus is the Son of God. Yet he is the guy who baptized Jesus, and he heard the voice from above saying that this is my son whom I love. Do you know why John the Baptist died one of the most humiliating deaths in the Bible? You know, he was beheaded, and then his head was put in a museum for the people to see. It is because he could not gather the confidence to take his rightful position as the person who was making the way for Jesus to come. Now, if you want to become part of the future that is going to come for this nation, you have to be John the Baptist, but don't behave like him. Take your position. Take your position as the young people, so that the changes that are coming in this nation, and he has said, and I'll tell you, my brother, you should give Musalia Mudavadi not 2032. You should give him 2022. If he does not deliver what is the desired result of ANC in 2022, can the young people like you, I am, when I tell you, when I saw you will be the person I'll be coming with the show. I have a friend of yours na ameniambia nikusalimie. Anaitwa Gengi. Yeah. Works for the Kikuyu Member of Parliament. Ameniambia nikusalimie, and he has given me a little bit background about you. That is the kind of leadership we want in this country. So my response to those people who are actually talking about, we should not be talking about, as much as we need the prowess and the guidance of those people who have been ahead of us, the Musarias of today and other people, we must take the bull by the horn as the young people. So my response is simply, I don't want to tell young people to continue singing the song of those in power. My friend, take it by force, and the violent will take it by force.
All right, the violent shall take it by force. Do you mind also giving us your tackle of the day, so that we don't come back again?
My tackle of the day is on the BBI, because it's the national discussion. I want to say that I want to sincerely thank the president, who saw the essence of not reading his written speech and address to the real issues from the heart. And I want to say that he has said that we can better this document. And I want to ask young people who are yapping on social media and other places, please, soma hii kitu. Because you cannot tell me you cannot understand this document. Because even if LUCIA was to come here or any other legal mind to explain to you what some of the sections mean, you will have to have read them, so that as it is being addressed to you, you will understand what people are saying. But right now, you are waiting for us to come and tell you Cross 124 is saying this, but you don't understand it. So I want to request, and today is my tackle for the day, everybody who has a following on social media, everybody who has a voice that can be heard on social media, let us give the exact content of this document to people. Let us not give our own opinion. I have seen the hashtag BBI nonsense. You know, it was probably nonsense before it became to be. That's what I believed. But now this is a national discussion we cannot escape. And we have no luxury of staying away from this discussion. So therefore, I want to urge young people again that let us understand the concept that is here. Let us understand what is it that is in this document that is of paramount importance to the young people. What is it that is being used as a sweetener to sweeten our hearts and request us to pass it? Let us devoid the nonsense therein and the importance that is in this document. You can only do that by elaborating and understanding this document. I have never been a big supporter of this initiative, but unfortunately, this is a discussion that we cannot run away from as a republic. And therefore, I'm telling people, and this is what I have said in my social media handles, that the alterations and the amendment of this progressive document in the name of the Constitution of Kenya is not and can never be a private activity. It has to be an activity that involves every Kenyan. And every Kenyan must lead and understand that whatever we are about to do, it is going to alter the destiny of this country tomorrow. So therefore, as we are doing it, do not have the luxury of insults and saying you not lead it. Kindly, the good people who refuse to elect good leaders ended up being read by the bad readers they did not want.
All right.
So therefore, can we read this document, understand it, so that when we reject it, we shall reject it because we know it, or we shall support it because we know it.
Lucia, your remarks on the calls and your tackle of the day.
My remarks on the calls. I think I wanted to talk to George, the last caller, who said he was impressed by the 7-year tax holiday. That 7-year tax holiday, first of all, it's not for all youth. It's for youth who are able to start a business, which then marginalizes all of us, because a majority of us are not able to start a business, given the measures put in place for you to start a business are very punitive and far-fetched out there. It's very difficult. So it does not make sense for me to come and give you a raincoat when you don't have a shirt. I first have to give you a shirt before I can give you a raincoat. You know, I'm not going to say, oh, here's a raincoat. Don't be rained on. But you're going to feel cold because there's no clothes inside. I think that's the one thing I just wanted to clarify on that. On my tackle of the day, we as young Kenyans are stupid and insane. Why am I saying this? Because we want to recycle politicians who've been there for eternity, people who've been in politics before we were even born, thinking ni hao ndio wanakam kutusuluhishia shida zetu. No, they don't have the solutions. They don't even understand what our generation is all about. You want to be a musician and your parents want to force you to be a teacher or a doctor. Na umekaa hapo unafikiria huyo mtu mwenye ako na miaka 60 ndio atakuja kukusaidia na shida zako. Tunajidanganya, na hiyo ni ujinga, na tunafaa tuache hiyo ujinga. I'm not against working with older people. at all. They have the experience that we so much need. We really need the experience that they have. My problem here is that we are not fighting for our rightful spaces as young people to be included in the decision-making table. I'm not sure if my brother is included in the decision-making table at ANC. I will be very happy to learn that he is included, because most of the time we are the decision-making table, and then we are given the opportunity to only be the face that presents what was discussed minus us, and that is what we need to stop. We have to be on that decision-making table with these fossil structures. We have to be there with them. They cannot exclude us from the decision-making table and expect us to only be a mouthpiece to the decisions that they've made. We are not rubber stamps, and we are not stupid, and we have solutions to our problems. But then these spaces are not going to be given unto us kama tumeketi chini. It is us to stand up and take them. Na kama mahali uko umeka and you're doing nothing to even help the person who's next to you, shame on you. You're stupid.
Nathaniel.
Nam. First of all, thank you so much. I've heard most of the callers. They have agreed with most of the statements we have made here as a panel. Na mimi nafurahishwa sana. They are listening to us. And it has been a quality discussion today. We have delved into so many issues pertaining this country, particularly around this document of the BBI. And you've heard most of the callers. They have agreed with me that Musalia Mudavadi quite spoke well, and he is a leader for the future. He is somebody we need at this moment. If you look at all the people who have declared for president, among them all, Musalia Mudavadi stands out. And I'm saying this because I know him. I know the man. He has the requisite experience. He is not going to learn on the job. He is going to do the job. So I'm supporting him because he is my party leader. And I believe in his ideals. And coming to what Lucia said, today Lucia is giving very hard tackles. It seems Lucia has not taken breakfast today.
I actually took heavy breakfast.
It depends heavy alikula breakfast gani. You also need to interrogate.
She's giving very hard tackles. She's giving, but let me say this, Gerald, for the record. When you see a young person like me supporting somebody like Musalia Mudavadi, it's because I've sat down and interrogated all the political parties within Kenya. Before I joined ANC, I had a look at the ANC manifesto. You remember in 2017, it is ANC that started the NASA, the NASA coalition. I don't know whether you remember. It is Musalia Mudavadi who started the NASA, and we started the manifesto called Road to Canaan Manifesto. You remember the NASA manifesto was called Road to Canaan Manifesto, and it was an exact copy-paste of the ANC manifesto. Anywhere it was written NASA in that NASA manifesto, it was a copy paste of ANC manifesto. They just changed ANC to NASA. So therefore, the ideals that NASA carried, the aspirations that we had that we will take our people to Canaan to drink milk and honey.
So Canaan ilikuwa yenu.
Canaan, the NASA dream was ours. ANC party and Musalia Mudavadi, we were the vision bearers of the NASA dream. So when you see me supporting Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi and his presidential bid, it's because I know the portfolios he has held, I know the experience he has, and I know the ideas he has for this country and the way he wants to execute them. So I want us to do this, that while we want to bridge, to bridge the gap into the future as young people, let us do it tactically. We must do it with tact. Gerald, Kenyan politics is structured along political parties. You cannot avoid that. Somebody said here in the morning that we don't want to go to the Southern Sudan way, where politics is structured along military troops. If you can marshal the highest number of troops, military troops, then you have a negotiation at the table. You see what Riek Machar and Salva Kiir are doing. They marshal military troops. So in Kenya, it is the opposite. It is political parties that have a say in determining the destiny of this country. So when you see me as a young person, and I want to take the challenge from Lucia, and I hope she's in a political party, it is political parties that can enable you to negotiate power. So we as young people, we must invade political parties. If she'll be a member of a political party and have a say in that party, and I'm in ANC and I have a big say, by the way, in ANC, my views are taken seriously. The party leader consults me on a daily basis on an array of issues. It is beyond youth. He calls me on several issues. And I'm very happy that he does, and he listens to the views of young people. The other day we were talking about MONG'ARE DVD and many other things that we do for him in the presidential campaigns. So if young people, we could invade political parties, and once we invade in those political parties, we take over those parties, we can be able to form a coalition of young people and unite this country with a generational mission. But we must do that with a clear purpose in mind. What do we want to achieve? And for my case, I want us to see that we have a country where everybody has an opportunity to live their life, where there is economic prosperity for all, where everybody has an equal chance and a fair shot in life.
Thank you.
So we as young people, we must carry the mantle. But my hardest struggle today has been about the BBI. This BBI must be read. We must interrogate it. We must have a robust discussion around the BBI document. And then if it comes to the people, because there are articles that touch on the Bill of Rights and others that require a referendum, then our people must have a robust discussion on this document before approving it or rejecting. So the hard tackle, and I want to finish in Kiswahili. There are those who are saying this BBI ni kama sumu ambaye imewekwa asali. Mimi nataka niwaambie kwamba let us tupime vizuri. Kama ni sumu ama ni ndimu. Tusiogope kuingia kwa bafu, kuogopa maji tujua kama ni moto ama ni baridi, tuogope kuingia kuoga. Let us read this document kabla hatujafanya uamuzi. So I will urge young people to read this document, and I want to urge the secretariat that is in charge of this document to print copies in Kiswahili and probably if budget allows in most of the language, so that people understand what they are going to vote or reject on.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much guys for coming in. It's always a pleasure to have you. Asanteni sana kwa kuja. Poli ya leo tulikuwa tumeuliza ya kwamba inawezekana ya kwamba BBI ikuwe vernaculized ama iweke kwa lugha ambazo wale wananchi wa kawaida anaweza elewa. So that you say when we talk about reading, not everybody can read and not everybody can read English. Or maybe the saying is inawezekana ya kwamba hizi documents ziweze kuwekwa kwa lugha ambayo mwananchi anaweza ielewa, whether in vernacular ama Kiswahili. Sababu watu wa Mombasa tayari washasema sisi hatuwezi pitisha kitu ambacho hatukielewi. Na nimeona kwamba yes, wamesema yes ni 68% ambao wanasema iwekwe kwenye lugha ambayo wananchi wanaweza ielewa, na wale ambao wanasema no ni 32%. You know, hiyo ni uamuzi wenu. Thank you so much guys, it's all a pleasure to have you. Na tuko pia na ile section ambayo inaitwa tujengane. Tujengane, nafasi ambayo tunakupa kama wewe mwanabiashara uweze kuadvertise biashara yako. Kama ungepata kuona ya kwamba 3 million people on this platform to look at your advertisement. If you can see this program, then it means your next client can actually see your product. Unaweza kuja na sisi tuambie you want to advertise, we'll give you very competitive rates, very friendly rates, uweze kuadvertise na sisi uweze kufikia watu wengi zaidi. Unatujenga hata sisi tuwajenge. Thank you so much for joining in. It's a pleasure to have you. This is the tackle. The tackle ends at what time? The tackle ends now. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.